Today on Homeworthy, we're exploring the art of small space living, where creativity, personality, and function come together to craft remarkable homes in compact settings. First, we'll step into a serene 400 square foot apartment where smart storage solutions and a fashion-forward closet bring personality to a chic, colorful space. Next, we'll tour a 610 square foot Charleston home, rich in history and storytelling, filled with vintage finds, first edition books, and nods to mythology. Then we'll visit a 700 square foot apartment where a couple's embrace of maximalism and sustainable design transforms their space into a vibrant, renter-friendly haven. Finally, we'll discover a New York City apartment inspired by French design and antique treasures, reflecting its owner's deep connection to her roots and her eye for unique bargains. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Annie and this is my home in Hudson Yards. Why don't you come see it?
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Annie Jorgensen. I'm a 28-year-old entrepreneur who lives in New York City. I do content creation and I also do freelance influencer marketing strategy. I've lived in New York for 5 years, and if you have ever lived in New York or looked for an apartment in New York, you know it can be like the Hunger Games. Like, it is intense and it is fast. Well, I am too type A to let the whole timeline of the typical apartment search happen. Usually what happens is that your lease is up within the month, you start looking for an apartment, and within the month you're in your new spot. But I just don't function that way. I need to have some time to plan and think about where I'm gonna go and where I'm gonna be and what my space is gonna look like. All that to say is I knew my lease was ending in June of last summer. And so around April is when I started to look for apartments. And so I went on probably 40 different tours. I know I saw at least 40 units, maybe not 40 different buildings, but I saw so many. It was my first time living in a studio by myself. It was my first time getting to decorate an apartment 100% by myself, where I got to pick and choose every single thing, where every single thing was gonna be something I wanted. So I was really excited, but I also felt like I put so much pressure on myself to find the perfect spot. There was a few things within my search that I was really prioritizing. Because I'm a content creator, I get a lot of mail and a lot of packages. And in my last apartment, I would get packages stolen all the time. So I knew I needed a mail room, which also kind of led it to have a doorman. So I was looking for a doorman building. I'm a content creator, so I also need great natural light. I have a lot of things, and so I needed lots of storage space. And after searching for many weeks, I came across this place, and it is perfect. It is exactly what I needed. It's about, I think it's technically like 15 by 15 feet total, but the way the apartment's organized, it's more like 12 by 15. But I'm loving the space. I've been in here for just about 5 months, and I finally feel like I'm settled, and this place feels like home. So this is the entryway. Right when you come into this apartment, this is what you see. Like I say, I have a lot of things. And so I knew I wanted to have something really easy access close to my front door to store all my tennis shoes and my things that I just take as I go. So this is from Amazon. It was probably about $80, $85. And this is where I store all of my sneakers and shoes. It can store, it says up to 12 pairs of shoes. I have shoved way more in there. So this is where I keep all my shoes. There's another level down here. And then there's also this drawer, which is great, which I have many random things stored in here. I have purses, pickleball paddles, attachments to my vacuum cleaner, just the things that you know, take up storage space that you don't want to see. And then also, because I only have one closet, I wanted to have something that is easier to access, if a jacket or a purse or a bag on a day-to-day basis that I use really frequently. And this is a really great coat rack that I found on Amazon too, that you can just pull out these little hooks and then place whatever you need to hook on them and then tuck them away when you're done. And I think it's just something that's really subtle. You almost don't even notice it as you're walking in, but I really love the detail that you can just push the little hooks away and it feels very clean. We'll save this for later. This was my viral closet project, which I'm very proud of, but we'll unpack that later. In my hallway, you see a lot of art, which is very fun. I think something that's really important for a small space, it feels counterintuitive, but when it comes to art, you want large scale art on these walls to make your space feel bigger than it is. So that's how I came to this beautiful painting photo. I actually found this at HomeGoods and it was probably $150, $160. So for a piece of art this big, it was very affordable, very cost effective. I came down the escalator, I saw her and I gasped. I was like, I have to have her. I carried her all around the Upper West Side all the way home. And then also this light is actually a rechargeable light from Amazon as well. So it has a remote that you can turn it on and off. You just charge it with the same charger of my phone charger. And it's a great way to make this piece of art feel like it's a moment. On this side of the wall, these are two different pieces that are really important to me. So while I was Miss Georgia, I spent a lot of time in Savannah. Savannah is actually the home of the Girl Scouts, which makes sense of me and the project that I had with the Girl Scouts. So as I was Miss Georgia, someone gifted me this beautiful painting of Savannah. You can see all the Spanish moss, and I spent a lot of really important and memorable times there. So this is a great memory. And then up here is actually a picture from Positano, Italy. And my brother studied abroad in Italy. I was not lucky enough to study abroad, not in my program, but I saw this at the Upper West Side Bazaar. And so I thought it would just be such a special moment to capitalize, you know, a beautiful family memory that I have with my memories of Savannah. So now all I need is a picture somewhere in this apartment of Wisconsin, and I'll have all of the different areas of my life. I grew up in Wisconsin, and then I went to the University of Georgia for college, where I studied broadcast journalism. I also grew up competing in pageants, and so when I went to Georgia for college, I saw that there was a local pageant to the Miss America organization on campus. And so my sophomore year, I was very excited to dive into the pageantry scene. I had taken a year off, so I was ready to get back into it. I competed for 3 years, and then right after I graduated in 2018, I ended up winning the title of Miss Georgia. And so that was my first full-time job out of college. I traveled all throughout the state of Georgia and all throughout the Southeast. I actually developed a confidence program called I Got This that I sold into the Girl Scouts of America. And so I spent that year touring around to Girl Scout troops and schools, speaking to specifically young girls about where confidence comes from and how they can live their most authentic lives. So I love that. I am so passionate about making sure that girls specifically feel really confident and empowered in who they are so they can live their lives to the fullest. So that was my job right after I graduated from college. And then that finished in June of 2019. And I knew that I wanted something bigger than, you know, Atlanta. And so somehow I fell into New York, and I actually signed my lease to move to New York without a job. And so I was searching for jobs and, you know, trying to find something that would employ me that I could survive and afford to live here. And then the night before I moved into my apartment is when I got my job offer, which is how I fell into influencer marketing. So I was hired to be a coordinator at a fashion PR firm. And so I learned all about the influencer marketing industry. Because of my experience in pageantry, I knew about influencers. I enjoyed creating content on my own. I had a somewhat minor following just from my pageant years. And so it was so interesting to me to work on the brand side and understand contracting and how brands actually execute influencer programs and what all those nuances and details mean. So I was at my first agency for 2.5 years. And during that time, I was actually cast to be on a reality dating show called Joe Millionaire. It was on Fox. It was basically Fox's version of The Bachelor. And I loved it. 2021 was my year of yes. And so I was saying yes to everything, which is kind of how I fell into this show. But they had found me on Instagram. I went through, I felt like thousands of interviews that summer. And then we filmed the show from August to October. And so for those almost 9 weeks, I was completely off the grid. I didn't have access to my phone. I didn't talk to my family. I was just like very much in the trenches of filming this show. I ended up making it all the way to the end, and then he ended up picking the other girl, who was the other finalist, which obviously he's a stupid idiot, but it ended up working out way for the best. And so that show came out in the winter of 2022. It was so much fun. I had made really amazing girlfriends from that show, and I also worked to build my social following just from the show airing and really leveraging what I learned about the content creator space, and ended up, you know, making and growing pretty significantly on social. From there, I moved to a different PR firm, still working in the influencer space. And then after a year of being there, I kind of came up for air and I thought, I kind of know how to do this, and I think I can do this on my own. And it was Valentine's Day, so kind of on a whim, I ended up quitting my job, and since then I've been pursuing this full time. So I'm a full-time content creator, and I still do influencer marketing strategy for brands on a freelance basis, but it's really empowering to be my own boss. Sometimes it's really scary, but overall I'm having so much fun. It's such a nice challenge where I feel really accomplished when I'm busy and when I'm doing things, and when I'm not as busy, it's extra encouragement for me to work a little bit harder. So these shelves are, I think, really beautiful. I have this issue when it comes to clutter in a space. I don't want clutter out. I think everything should be really intentional, but I did want to have this bar cart shelving moment. And so you'll see some of very important moments and items that I love. So starting at the bottom, I have a family photo, and I had a friend asked me to be her bridesmaid with one of these flowers, and so that was really special. So I like to have that out as a memory. I also collect matchbooks and corks from important wine bottles, and so I have them all in here. It's a work in progress. We have a lot of room to grow, but there's some fun memories that I can pull these out and always remember them. This cork is really important. So in my last apartment, my roommate, her dad had just retired. So he came with her mom for the weekend. We popped a bottle of champagne to celebrate his retirement. And then 2 weeks later, he ended up going back to work. And so it's a very funny memory. The interesting thing, and I think when it comes to my apartment, oftentimes people ask me what the style is, and I just like have no idea what to say, because one, I don't really know what interior design styles are called, what they're named, but also I think that my apartment has so many different aesthetics throughout it. Like this bust, also a home goods find. I just thought she was so glam, and so of course I had to have her, and she makes such a nice statement on the shelves. I wanted a bar cart. I don't like to have liquor out and about all the time. I think it just gets sticky and dusty, but this was a great workaround that I could have at least a shelf of that. And when I was working in PR, I met an influencer and her husband who actually is a home designer. He has amazing decor, and he actually designed these champagne flutes and glasses. His name is Max IDNY. And I'm just so amazed by these. I think they're so stunning. And I got them over a year ago prior to moving into this apartment. And as I was unpacking, I noticed that the colors worked perfectly in this space. So here is the perfect place for it. And then one of my best friends, Anna, gifted me these martini glasses with these olive little skewers. I love a dirty martini. And so this was just a really beautiful and sweet present that she gave. The advice that my mom gave me of recommending to pick colors in the apartment to match the colors that I like to wear, I always gravitate towards green and I always gravitate towards blue, and that's what makes me feel really calm and at peace. It's a color while it's still kind of a neutral, so it was my way to like really get color in the space. And I wanted it to be dark within these corners just to add a little bit of dimension in the space. And so I found these colors at Sherwin-Williams, and they did such a good job. This color is called Oak Moss, and I will remember what the blue color is. It'll come back to me. But this shelving unit itself is actually from Amazon as well. It was really easy to put together, and then I just screwed it into the wall. And it's one of those things that the more I found on Amazon, there's like really amazing things that you don't have to spend that much money to get moments that are really stunning. So you'll notice throughout my apartment there are lots of colors on the walls, and because I was moving into a studio apartment, in my previous apartments, I've always had roommates, so we all had bedrooms and then a living room. And in my head, I couldn't have my work desk in my bedroom because I couldn't separate work from rest. And I really wanted my bedroom where I sleep to be that oasis where I can just relax. It's very calm and serene. And so as I was moving into a studio, living in one room, doing everything in one room, I wanted to make an effort to make every single space its own area. You'll notice that by my bed I have a wall painted blue, so that's my bedroom area. Where my dining room is all green, and then my office is in my white space, which is also my living room. I say that, it's all just like little corners of this apartment, but it really does help compartmentalize what I'm doing in the areas where I am. And even in the 4 or 5 months I've lived here, I really do feel like this is larger than a studio. It feels like it is multiple, if not rooms, at least areas, and it's worked. This is my dining room. I love this table and these chairs. I actually ordered these chairs from West Elm right when I moved in June, and it had like a 2-3 month wait period for them to come in. So I just got them in a few weeks ago, and they are everything I dreamed of and more. I love them so much. They're so comfortable, and I think the added dimension of blue in the space brought in the color and really tied the whole place together. I actually have the 2 chairs I had here from Amazon stored under my couch still, so when I have guests I can pull out the chairs and we can all have somewhere to sit. Something I love about this corner is this pendant light. So this light is from the Home Depot, and it is 100% not plugged in with any electrical. We just screwed it to the top of the ceiling and then used a Bluetooth light bulb that you can just use a remote to turn it on. So it's very easy. This piece of art is also a HomeGoods find. Again, you'll see a lot of a common theme here that we're balling on a budget, especially when it comes to art. If it's not something that's impactful or meaningful to me, I just want to find something that I like. And a lot of times HomeGoods knows what they're doing. And so I found this, and it was a perfect match with all the colors. On this green wall, it could stay clear, but I'm on the hunt for like a structural metal gold piece of art in some way. So I'll see if I ever come across anything that fits in this space. Otherwise, it's just going to be blank for now. Coming into my living room, this is where I spend a majority of my time. I know I have this beautiful dining table, but I eat most of my meals on the couch. When it comes to storage and space, again, like you gotta take any space that you can and maximize all of the opportunities you have. So this TV console, this is actually its 3rd apartment that is lived in. This is from Home Depot, and I have stored all of my linens, my towels. It's not the most organized thing anymore, but cabinet area is my linen closet. You'll see my towels and some extra sheets, some extra candles, and a lot of purses down there. So that's on this side. And then the other side is just like games and books and candles and purses and sunglasses. I got a lot of things. This is the things shelf. In terms of the storage and the decor of the console table itself, gotta have a lamp. This lamp has been with me since college, so I feel like I have this just like emotional attachment to this lamp. I can never get rid of it. I love a candle warmer instead of lighting candles, because this I can leave on all day, or if I happen to step out and forget to turn it off, like I know this candle will be safe. And it also makes the candles last a lot longer. That I'll burn through candles in like a week. So I've had this candle for at least a month or 2. And so I like that the scent stays, but it's a little bit safer. This is where I keep just extra remotes, chargers, things that aren't super exciting, but it's a beautiful box that you can store all the ugly things in. And then this last piece, this was actually a find from my mom. She found this on Facebook Marketplace in Wisconsin when she came to help me move. It's beautiful. I love a calla lily. Calla lilies were actually my parents' wedding flowers. So I look at it and it's just really pretty, and I like all the colors to it. I don't know who the artist is though, so if you are from Wisconsin and you painted this, please let me know so I can give you all my kudos. And then coming into the rest of the living room space, my issue here is that I had a big old gripe against glass coffee tables. My old roommate and I had a glass coffee table. I was like, never again. It got so dirty, all the fingerprints on it. I knew I didn't want glass. I didn't want white. It would have been too much white in this space. And now that I had this dining table, I knew I didn't want wood either. So I kind of was at a loss. I was like, what kind of coffee table can I find that's not any of those things? Well, again, we were walking around with HomeGoods and we came across this beautiful blue bench that I've searched high and low on the internet to try and find the link to it. It must not exist because I can't find it anywhere. but it's so comfortable. I love putting my feet up there that it's just like great to lounge on. And then instead of having a true table, I got this tray, and this is where I put my drinks, and it's a nice stable place to leave everything. And I keep my Kindle, my glasses, my remotes. It's all organized right there. Sometimes it's not enough table space though, and so I got this extra little C table from West Elm. This is a great spot where I eat breakfast or my lunches, my snacks. This is where I keep all my stuff. And then I also have another side table if I have a friend come over and they need somewhere to put drinks, or if I'm going to bed at night and I want to have my water bottle close to my bed. This is a great C table, also from West Elm, that I just move around my apartment. Wherever I need it, it comes with me, and it's great. This is my couch. This is my pride and joy. This is where I spend most of my time in my apartment. But this couch is from West Elm. I would say this is the most expensive piece in my apartment, and it was probably like somewhere between $1,500 to $1,700, if that tells you anything about the cost of what is in this place. So it's a decently priced couch, but it's exactly what I needed. And this was key, because if I have any piece of advice when you are moving, think about timing your deliveries and your orders to your moving time. So I knew I had my move-in date. I bought this couch probably like 5-6 weeks in advance, and I scheduled it for the day after I moved in. And so it was so seamless and perfect that I didn't have to worry about moving the couch. But as soon as I was ready for it, it came and I was here. The rugs in this area of my apartment are all from Rugs USA, or I should say they're both from Rugs USA. They're great. They come with little pads in the rugs too, and so it's really comfortable. And I like it too that they're very easy to clean, which brings me back to the couch. That another piece of advice is that get a couch that has fabric that's treated. I have spilled so many things on this couch already, and you would never know it because one, am an expert cleaner, but two, because it's treated. And so like yesterday, I got some makeup on this little armrest. You'd never know it. I was racing around one morning trying to eat my eggs in the morning and I spilled basically an entire jar of hot sauce on this couch. Again, you never know it, but the stress of spilling things on a white couch was never good. These pillows, I think, are from World Market or like one of those types of stores. Again, like not super pricey. I was honestly a little bit concerned about that shade of green in this space. It felt very lime and a little bit too bright. But then once it got in here, it all came together and it felt like the different dimensions of the greens and the blues. You don't need to match everything in your apartment. It just needs to go. And so this was something that was a risk, but it worked and it goes. In terms of my throw blanket, this is the coziest, comfiest blanket in the history of ever. My mom and dad actually have 2 of these in our home in Wisconsin. And so it's nice that when I cozy up with this, it feels very familiar. This is from Macy's, I believe, and it's about $100 for a blanket, but it is really heavy. So it's a nice like weighted blanket. In the summer, it gets a little hot, obviously, but in the winter, it's perfect. So like I said, this is where I spend a lot of my time. I love TV. I watch a lot of TV and a lot of movies. And especially now that I live by myself, I feel like I just put things on in the background to have background noise around. So I'm obsessed with the OC right now. I'm almost done with it. And so if you have any show recommendations, I am all ears. But when I'm not eating on the couch or watching TV or shooting content, I'm working. And this little cozy nook is the dream when it comes to working from home. I work from home full time. I am an entrepreneur. I work for myself, especially freelancing. This was the move. This chair is from Amazon. It was the viral crisscross chair, which I'm not going to pull it out because I have spilled many things on it and it's not, these stains didn't come out as well as they did on the couch. But it's a really great desk. This desk is its second apartment that it's lived in with me. This is from West Elm. I love anything that's Bluetooth, and I'm a Mac girl through and through, so you'll see a lot of Apple products. This monitor, kind of a fun fact, but now my friend's fiance, they just got engaged this weekend. This was his monitor, and he sold it to me. So it has seen finance world, it has seen content, it has seen it all. And then for decor around my space, I have a lamp that's honestly, I think it's an Amazon lamp. Like it's nothing crazy, but I did like the structure of that it's nice and rectangular. I felt like it went with all the angles in this corner. And then this mirror and then these 2 pieces of art along the TV have been with me since college. So these have been around for 8, 9 years at this point. That's something about me, is if there's something decor-wise that I really like and that it feels great, I can use it again and again and again. And so a lot of the things within this space are, you know, brought down from many years of being together. And so even don't look too close into these because they're a little bit yellowed. I think they were in my sorority house, but definitely in my college apartment. Then as we make our way through the space, something that was really important to me when searching for an apartment is natural light. And you'll see my apartment has 2 beautiful big windows. I love the natural light that I get. I'm a big person on like the sky and the sunrise and seeing a sunset, which I don't get a good sunset view since I'm north facing, but I do get really beautiful natural light throughout the day. And I have some fun plants out and about. This one is fake, so nothing really crazy to share there. This aloe plant, I somehow have not killed it yet. I like to think I can take good care of things, but I just, because it's you know, the plant that doesn't need to be watered very often, I always forget. So it's really trying to die, but it just won't die. And then I have some fun pictures throughout my apartment, mostly here. This is my friend Rory Pan. As I mentioned, I was Miss Georgia, and the Miss America organization also has a teen program. And so when I was the Miss, Rory was my teen, and we spent the year together. She is a genius. She just graduated from Harvard, and so I'm very proud of her. She lives in Boston now. It's fun that we can keep in touch. And then this picture is my friends from college. These are some of my sorority sisters. And these pictures, honestly, I haven't changed them since I think I've moved to New York, and I've lived here for 5 years, so maybe it's time to refresh some of these photos, but I just love them. I think they're really special. This is a picture of me and my dad, also from my time in college. You can tell there's a lot of college-related photos because, like I said, I haven't updated these photos, but it's fun. I like looking back on these memories. My Instagram is how I keep up with my current life. I love to decorate, but if I have, you know, a direction. And so I think because this was the first apartment that I got to design 100% by myself, I put so much pressure on making sure it was perfect. And honestly, when I was just moving in and starting to plan the interior of what I wanted, I had just watched Palm Royale on HBO Max. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. But I loved the interior of that entire show. It's very like Floridian 60s, like very luxurious. And so that's kind of the inspiration that I started with. And then somewhere along the way, I felt like I was losing myself in the whole process. And so as I started to, you know, really dive into how I wanted to design the space, my mom gave me the best piece of advice. And she said, think about the clothes that you like to wear and what you gravitate towards in terms of color, and use that color in your space. And so I love to wear neutrals. I love to wear greens and blues. And so you'll see that a lot of my space is greens, blues, neutrals. And because I chose those colors, it really does feel like me. And I'll have friends come in and they'll look around and they'll say like, this is you to a T in an apartment. So I feel like I nailed it. Now we make our way into my bedroom vanity area, and I think this is my favorite piece throughout my entire apartment. This is the 3rd apartment this closet has been in. Everyone needs a full-length mirror in their space, so this is mine, but it's not just a full-length mirror. It doubles as my shoe closet. So I have my shoe storage near the front, but this is also where I keep most of my heels and my fun shoes. I'm a shoe girl. I really do love shoes. You can't have enough. And this is where they all live. So I love that, and it's a great way, again, to utilize storage space in fun, interesting ways, and ways that, you know, maximize the space. And then make your way into the vanity. I do a lot of beauty content. I also grew up dancing, doing gymnastics, and in pageants, and so I've done my hair and makeup for years. It's something that I just really enjoy. You know, some people when they cook, they're like, oh, like that's how I wind down. It's relaxing to me. That's how I feel when I get ready, doing my makeup and my hair. And so I love this corner. The natural light that comes in is perfect. It's stunning. I've had this, or a version of this little mirror, all the way from freshman year of college, and so I've had 2 different ones. This is like the newer version. So love this. I have all my fragrances out here. This table is from, I believe it's from Wayfair. And so it's like not the most expensive thing in the world. It was probably $100, but it's where I keep all of my makeup. Don't look in it too close. I need to clean it. Don't look at it. I opened it, that's on me. Also, in terms of storage, again, you need as many things as you can. So I got this stool from Amazon, and this is where I store all of my electrics. And so I have chargers and camera stuff. But again, like where you can find storage hacks, take them. So that's great. Something fun that I received in a PR package was this mini refrigerator. And it came with, the brand was called Mingle Mocktails, and so it came with a bunch of mocktails. But now, this is where I keep some skincare. Obviously, it's a little empty right now. I just cleared out some of my skincare, but this is where I keep some of my skincare that I like to keep cold. That adds a nice experience when you start using it. Again, when it comes to storage, take as much space as you can. So as I was moving in, I knew I had my closet here and then I had my vanity, but I had about a foot of space between the two. So I thought, what could I find to fit there to put more stuff in? So I found this drawer set on Amazon as well. And this is where I keep extra things like my setting spray, some sunscreen. I keep a lot of sunglasses. Honestly, this is just like a random one, but a lot of glasses and sunglasses in here too. Again, storage is key. And then I have had these shelves in an apartment since I moved to New York. These are from IKEA. This shelving unit I think is $90, so it's like not that expensive at all. And this is where I keep my jewelry, my shoes, but these shoes I have out because they're incredibly important to me. When I first moved to New York, my birthday was about a month after I moved here, and there was a sample sale from SJP, which is the Sarah Jessica Parker collection. Most of the time, if you're a girl in New York, you know Sex and the City, you love Sex and the City. I have loved it, and so when I saw SJP was having a sample sale, I immediately ran. I went with my roommate, one of my best friends at the time, so we went and we go and we're shopping around, and all of a sudden this voice from behind me was like, oh my God, those will look great on you. I turn around and it's Sarah Jessica Parker herself, and it's my 24th birthday. And so I'm on this sample sale on my birthday. I had just gotten to New York, and so she helped me pick out these shoes, and they say the heart of New York on the back of them. And I just think it's so special, and I will never forget that Sarah Jessica Parker herself sold me these, and I only was gonna get one as I was there, but then I also found these the same day. I love the two-tone pink, and she said that I needed both, and so I got both. So this piece of art was another find from the Upper West Side Bazaar, which is basically just a market that has clothing, vintage pieces, art, obviously. And so I went with my mom the week that I moved to find a few pieces that filled the space. And I saw this ballerina, and I grew up dancing, so I love ballet. My grandma is also a big fan of what is that piece of art called that is the ballerina? You know what I'm talking about, like the statue? Anyway, my grandma loves that piece. And when I saw this print of a Degas, I just had to have it because it very much reminded me of that. I had a while of going through and naming all the people in the art that I have, so I joke that they're my roommates, and so this is Sophia. And this blue is the perfect baby blue that I was looking for. This color is called Cape Blue. I think it's beautiful, it's cozy, it's bright, but it's not a baby blue, which is exactly what I was looking for. Then moving on to my bed. A bed must be comfortable, right? Like if I'm gonna sleep there, I wanna be really cozy, and I like to have it feel really luxe. You'll notice I have 1,000,001 pillows on this bed, and within the duvet cover, one of the tricks that I have seen all over the internet that I of course had to use myself was stuffing 2 duvets inside the comforter. And so it adds a nice life to it and makes it really, really luxurious. And also because you have 2 duvets, it feels a little bit heavier. So it feels kind of like a weighted blanket, which is really cozy. My bed frame itself is from West Elm, but I needed a little bit of extra lift. And so if you look really closely at the bottom, you'll see that I put these little risers on my bed, which allow me to have space for extra totes under my bed. So I have extra shoes down there, extra beauty products. I am a content creator, and so I receive a lot of PR and a lot of gifts from brands, which is really great. So if you're ready for this, I will show you where I keep all of my gifted PR in this tote. And in here, there is so many serums, so many purses, bags, brushes, makeup. So every year or every 6 months or so, I have what I call a gifting suite where I invite my friends over and they come and they just pick out whatever products. one person can never use this many things. And so it's really nice to have and re-gift these products to people that will enjoy them and use them, because I don't want them all to just sit under my bed. So that is this. And I have totes this size. These are all from the Container Store. I have, I think, 6 under my bed, potentially 8 total. And this is where I also store all of my winter clothes. So when I transition my winter to summer, I put them in vacuum seal bags and then slide them under my bed. The last thing I'll say about my bed area was, because this wall is just a little bit more narrow than the full-size bed that I have, I didn't have space for a headboard. But I had to have a headboard, right? Like, I'm an adult, like I have to have a headboard. But this is a headboard pillow that does exactly what it needs to. It gives the job of a headboard, but that way if I am laying in bed watching TV, I can move it around, and it adds for a really extra comfort while I'm watching TV from bed. Storage tips and tricks are my bread and butter. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of stuff just in general, but also as a content creator, I receive so many products from different brands and clothes. And so I knew that within a studio apartment and living by myself here, I didn't want to feel like I was living on top of myself. I would start to feel like really overwhelmed and cramped. So smart storage was something that was really important to me. And I also think that, you know, there's so many different ways you can go with storage. You can find cabinets, and I think what's important is finding things that aesthetically fit within your style, but then serve as storage. So it's dual purpose. It's not just storage, but it's also nice to look at. What happens there is that can get expensive really quickly, and so I found a lot of good workarounds of how to find things that stored items without breaking the bank, because I'm balling on a budget here. As I take you on a tour of my apartment, you'll see all of these little corners and pockets of where I'm storing things. Also, the advice that my dad gave me before I moved to New York is, he said, remember it's a vertical city. And for whatever reason, I will always remember that. And so I have used all of the vertical space within my apartment. You'll notice I store things under my bed. I store things up, you know, high in my closets, or you'll see other places I have lots of shelves. So I use every single inch that I can. This is my bathroom. I won't take too much time to show you what it is, but at least you'll know that I have one. Great lighting, great mirrors. Something that I thought was really special and smart within this space is I put some dried eucalyptus in the shower. And so just the scent that it gives as you're showering gives a really nice experience. It's very luxurious. I'm a very clean person though, and so I like to have everything really like clean and tidy. Also, if you are moving into a space, no matter if you're in a studio apartment like here or a home, the best thing I've ever done is to put my hamper in my bathroom, which is like not rocket science here. I'm not, you know, creating fire, but having this hamper from Amazon, a really easy Amazon hamper, love it. It's so great. It's just right there. So when I come home from a workout, I can drop my dirty clothes in there and jump in the shower, and it's so easy. Also in here, one thing I'll call out in terms of storage, again, there was like kind of an awkward amount of space between the toilet and the vanity area. So I found this like truly less than a foot wide cabinet from Amazon. It's where I keep extra, you know, products. I have some sunscreen in there, nothing crazy, but it's a great way to add more storage space to a space. And then the last thing I'll mention is my favorite piece of art. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace as I was moving and looking for things, and I just thought she was so funny. Her name is Pearl, and I feel like sometimes that's what I feel like in the shower, so I thought she was perfect. Welcome to my kitchen. I have to be honest, one of my resolutions when I moved into this new apartment was that I was going to cook more. My friends like to say that I have raccoon hands because I'll just eat through whatever groceries I have, and my meals are just like the most random things of food put together. I love good food, but I don't enjoy cooking for one that much. So now that I have this gorgeous kitchen, I am trying to cook a little bit more. I have perfected stir fry, so that's my go-to when it comes to cooking, but both my mom and my brother are amazing, like true chefs. And so whenever I have questions, I'll pop my phone up and FaceTime my mom or my brother, and we'll cook together, which is really fun. The space is really nice that I'm very blessed with all of this cabinet space. You can always have more storage though, right? And so you'll notice that I have baskets all throughout the kitchen. And so within those baskets, I have honestly some like hardware supplies, some tools. I have extra napkins and paper towels. Now that it's winter, I have all of my scarves and hats and gloves in one, and then that's actually a picnic basket. So I have that for when it does get warmer. But because there's just a few inches on top of all of these cabinets around, like that's really great, useful space to use for storage. And so, like I said, once, I'll say it a million times, I always try to use all of the space available. My favorite corner in my kitchen is my coffee corner. And this is really special to me for many different reasons. My grandparents gifted me my Nespresso for coffee every morning, and when they gifted it to me, obviously they welcomed me into my home, but my grandma said something that was so sweet. She was like, that way every morning it's like we can have coffee together. So now when I drink my coffee, it feels like I'm having coffee with my grandma. And behind it, you'll see this beautiful piece of art. My mom recently took up painting, and this was her first painting that she ever did. And it's obviously very abstract. I think it's beautiful. My mom might be cringing watching me talk about her artwork, but I think it's amazing and I'm very proud of her. And it reminds me of this piece of art from our family room in our family home. There's a piece of art that was similar to this, so it feels very homey now that I have it here. There is an element that I'm still waiting on. This wall is very white, and so I've been looking for a piece of art to fill in this. I want it to be pretty large, like maybe like this big or so, which also means I have to love the art when I find it. I have a handful of weddings happening next year that I'll be all around Europe and around the country. So I'm hoping that on one of those travels, I'll be able to find a piece of art that I love that can live there. So when it comes to decor and design, not every wall needs to have art. And so I was looking at this entry wall right when you come in. The front door is right over there, so it's one of the first things you see when you walk in. But I have art in so many different areas, and down the hallway, you'll see art on the walls. So I wanted to find something here that is not art, but it's still something interesting to look at. And what's better to look at than some delicious wine? And so I found these wine racks. It's actually 3 different ones. These are from Amazon. And so the rack itself probably altogether was like $25. And you'll find that to be a common theme throughout my apartment. Nothing is crazy expensive. Everything is very affordable. It's very cost effective. And this was a great way to showcase the wine and champagne that I do have in my apartment while still being really pretty. Closet space in New York is everything. It would blow your mind if you don't live in New York of walking into apartments and seeing just like the weird layouts that some places have. Like some have a closet that's this big and that's it for like a pantry and a closet and coats and everything. And I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. I have a lot of stuff and I don't want to see my stuff. I want it to be put away, but I also want to be able to see what I have as it's away, or else I'll forget what it is that I have. So I just need to be able to access everything. And so closet space was really important to me as I was looking for it. So when I came to this apartment, it honestly made me a little worried at first that there was only one closet in the space, but then I was on my tour and I opened the closet and I realized I would not have an issue with that closet space. It's not a walk-in, but it's a step-in, so it's a little bit deeper, and it's also about 8 feet wide. So it is the biggest closet I think I could potentially find in New York, so I'm thrilled with it, but I still have a lot of different areas for extra storage outside of my closet. I'll show you too when I take you on the tour that within my closet I have maximized the storage space, that it's not just hanging space. I have some totes and drawers and baskets in there too, so it's to the max, all things storage. Now it's time for my pride and joy of this apartment. My closet. I have posted my storage tips on TikTok and on Instagram, and they have gone viral. So I'm excited to share them with you today. This is the dream closet that I could have never imagined that this is what I have. But like I said at the beginning, this closet, I knew there was only one closet in the entire apartment when I moved in and when I was looking at the space. And I was nervous about that just because one closet does not seem enough. And so I walked in and saw it was this closet, and I knew I was going to be okay. So as you can see, it's pretty large. It's about 8 feet wide, and it's, you know, like a good probably 2, almost 3 feet deep. So I do have some depth to it, but there are definitely ways that I have amplified the storage space within the closet. So first you'll notice I have some baskets. So this is where I keep some swimsuits and cover-ups and things that are a little bit more seasonal. So when the seasons do change, I can just move them around really easily. It's actually probably time for me to take my winter clothes from up there and put them here and put my summer stuff up there, but it's easy enough both ways. And then also I have lots of wall space, which has been really helpful. So on this side, you'll see I have hats stored against the wall. Remember when I said we like to use all of the vertical space? So this is some vertical space we're using. These are some extra totes of seasonal things. Up there, that's a Christmas present, so surprise for who it's for. And then I have my coats over here. Like I said, I don't have a coat closet. This is my coat closet, but I like that there's this separate area of hanging space that I can really differentiate between my clothes and my coats. So the coats live over there. I also have, I have my suitcase under the coats, and behind that I have a set of golf clubs. So I don't know how often I'll use them here. I've used them twice in the time that I've lived in New York, but I have them in case I need them. I have these drawers these are also from Home Depot actually. And so these are great. These are not the most aesthetic storage, but you don't need them to be that super aesthetic now that they're behind closed doors in the closet. But this is a great way to store some of my workouts. These are like my loungewear sets. It just makes it really nice and tucked away. And all of these drawers I bought individually, and so I can move them around if I want to. I'm thinking about potentially getting another row of 3 if I need them, so we'll see. And then my favorite storage hack that I've come across in terms of apartment living are these 5 hangers. They're a hanger that you can store 5 different things on there. And so you can do, there's 4 here, and then there's a little hook at the front that you can add more on. But this is just such a great way to save space in your closet that you can hang so many more things. So you'll see on this side, I have 2 hat racks. And so as I get hats, I just put them on, again, using the vertical space, especially for things that are awkward to store, like hats. It's great that I can see them. I know what I have, but it's pretty out of the way. I also have extra tools and light bulbs here, just like electric stuff. Up here, I have, one of these is a memory box, just like of fun tickets or stubs and letters from things. And then the other is the most exciting, like banking information filing system. And then I have my vision board up there, which you'll see. It's almost time to make a new one, but it's crazy. It was my first year making a vision board, and a lot of the things I put on there actually came true. So I feel like there's some merit to it. You'll also notice that at the top, I have some of these motion censored lights. They're a little bit finicky sometimes, but when I open the door, it's great to have these lights there from Home Depot. And that way it adds obviously some light to this space, but I can see my clothes a lot better where I'm not digging through the dark to figure out what I want to wear. I can actually see what I have, which is a game changer. And then the last thing I'll mention within my closet are these shelves. These are from the Container Store. These are called the Alpha unit. These are just baskets that I added to the space because there is not a great space here to add a dresser. And so I was like, where am I gonna keep my socks and my underwear and like that kind of stuff, my pajamas? And so my mom and I found these at the Container Store, and it's a great way to just store my things. So these are all my workout sets. I have pajamas down there, you know, anything that of that, like things that you would typically just throw in a dresser in a drawer, that's where they live. But yeah, I love my closet. I love that I can see what I own, because my thing, and I notice that a lot of my friends are the same way, is that if we can't see it, we'll forget what we have, or we'll just not feel like we have the effort and the energy to like find a tote, pull it out, steam it out. This way I know what I have and I know what I can wear, and it makes getting ready feel like an experience. Home to me means a place of peace and feeling really safe and secure and comfortable. As I was thinking about designing places and as I visit my friends' apartments and homes, something that keeps recurring is that if you feel comfortable enough to take a nap in somebody else's home, that's when you feel, safe, and that's when you feel like you're at home. So I wanted my home to be somewhere that when people would come to visit, that they felt comfortable enough, they could take a nap, they could relax, that they come in and from the craziness of the city, it just feels really calm and peaceful. And I think I've been able to hit that. Homeworthy, I had so much fun hanging out with you guys and telling you about my apartment. I have to get back to work, so you guys don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here. Get out of here, see you later.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Emily. I'm so excited to welcome you to my Charleston home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Sermons. This is Charles. Welcome to my 610 square foot home in Charleston, South Carolina. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia in the South, and I think like a lot of my peers, I was so ready to get out of the South. Once I graduated college, I immediately moved to California, eventually made my way to New York, and I was pretty positive that I was never going to end up in the South again. I started dating my boyfriend who has family in Charleston, and we took a lot of trips to Charleston together in some of those early years of dating. And kind of in spite of myself, I ended up falling in love with Charleston in a way that I never expected to fall in love with a southern city. I just loved the way that Charlestonians are obsessed with historic architecture. I love the history and the charm and the beauty and the food of Charleston. And I really started to see the possibility to build a really permanent life here. In the pandemic, we were living in New York, but decided to spend a little bit of time here. And when this home came on the market, we absolutely loved how bright it was, the perfect location downtown, how much charm the home had. And while it was a little bit of a leap of faith, we decided to purchase the home and start our lives as snowbirds, kind of spending fall and winter in New York, coming down here after the holidays and spending through June here in Charleston. So I would not trade it for the world. I love living in both cities, and my love for Charleston has just grown so much, even more so than when I was coming down as a tourist. Now, as a Charlestonian myself, I just have such a deep appreciation for the city, its history, and the really vibrant community that's here. My full-time job is a product manager at Adobe. It's a job that I absolutely love because it allows me to be close to creative people, creative tools, but it's a job that does feel a little dry day to day, and it was really important to me to find an outlet outside of work that allowed me to be creative and kind of got me away from the computer screen. So a couple of years ago in 2021, I decided to take my passion for interior design a little bit more seriously and start an online community that I call Shoebox Designs. And really, the whole premise of Shoebox Designs is about empowering people to design small spaces with vintage and antique decor. So a lot of what I post on that community are tips for working within a small space, my advice on how to find really special vintage and antique pieces. And I've also recently started reselling antique pieces to my community because I collect so much that I can't possibly put it all in my home, but I want to give my followers the opportunity to find some of these really unique items and bring them into their homes as well. Welcome to the entryway. As you can see, this is a small, dark space. So when I was designing it, I really wanted to inject a ton of elegance and charm to really elevate this space and make it feel like a really special place when you're first entering the apartment. I first decided on this beautiful green striped wallpaper, and I think because it's such a small space, I really got to play around with pattern here, play around with color in a way that you don't really see in other parts of the home. And I think that it adds such a beautiful elegance to this space and is the perfect backdrop for the rest of the elements. I first found this bar when I was shopping at one of my favorite antique stores in Charleston, Warehouse 61. I had another piece of furniture in this space. I wasn't really looking for something new, but this piece stopped me in my tracks, and for weeks and weeks I would go back just to look at it. I honestly just loved looking at it. It was so beautiful. And eventually my partner Jay and I said, wouldn't we be so devastated if one of those weeks we went back to the antique store and it wasn't there? And I think that that was the clearest indication for us that we had to just pull the trigger and figure it out. And I'm so glad that we did. I think that this piece has so much history. Fun fact, it was not originally used as a bar. This piece is actually what's called a pie chest or a pie safe. So it was used back in a time where refrigerators weren't common in homes, and it was used to keep things like pastries cool. But we like to use it as a bar. One of my favorite secrets about this piece is actually when you open it up and you pull out this little secret compartment, it makes the perfect spot for mixing and making drinks. And I love that it's a fun pop of green that meshes in with the rest of the room. These coupes are one of my favorite pieces of glassware that my mom actually found for me. They were part of a really fun set that she found. They're from the 1950s. They were part of a set called a smoke, sip, and snack tray, which is such a funny concept that people back in the 50s would have one tray where they literally were smoking and having a drink and having snacks all in one place. I love these little glasses though. I love the little knob detail on the bottom, and they're really fun for just throwing a splash of champagne in. I had been looking for a coat rack for this room for honestly 3 years, and I could never find anything that was beautiful and functional. And when I found this piece, I found it on auction. I loved it so much because not only was it this beautiful Edwardian piece that had so much charm and character, but it came with this mail organizer, which I thought was such a fun element to put in our entryway as well. So I bid on the auction, ended up winning, and we honestly just installed this in the last week, so I'm really happy with this new addition. So Charleston itself really inspired the decor for this home. I think that Charleston as a city is a kind of collage of old meets new, and I really tried to bring that into the home itself. I'm a big fan of vintage and antique furniture, and you'll see that there's a lot of vintage and antique furniture in this home, kind of paired with pops of modern decor, which I think helps the home feel elegant and classy, but still a little playful. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I think because this condo is so small, we really have to make sure that all of the elements feel really cohesive. So things that you'll see in the apartment are pops of gold, a lot of beautiful wood tones, and a lot of greenery kind of throughout the apartment. I think something that's really important about decorating a small space is not to be afraid of big furniture. I think oftentimes when people start decorating in a small space, they don't want it to feel cramped, so they buy small pieces of furniture, they try not to clutter the apartment. And I think that what that ends up doing is actually making the apartment feel smaller when it's made up of a bunch of small little things scattered about. I do not shy away from really big, bold, beautiful pieces of furniture that draw the eye upwards, that serve as focal points. I think that that's actually a really great way to make a space that might be a little bit small feel much bigger than it actually is. Design is a very collaborative process between me and my partner Jay. I think that honestly some of the best scores in this home were completely his idea, and I'm so thankful that he's kind of pushed me in new directions. For example, I love this coffee table now, but I was not sure about it when he found it. And once we put it in the space, it's got kind of that modern touch that an apartment like this really needs because there's so much antique furniture. And my followers ask about it all the time. That's just one example of so many that he's kind of picked and chosen and brought into the home. And I really don't make design decisions without sitting down with him and talking about what it's going to look like, what the purpose of it is, what the story we're going to tell about the apartment with the piece is. So it's a very collaborative process, and I'm so lucky that I have someone who's not just supportive of all of my design passions, but actually derives a lot of joy from it himself. Follow me this way into the living room. Welcome to our living room. Definitely the star of the show here is this gallery wall that sits right above our couch. This was probably the first design project that I took on for this home. I had been collecting art pieces and frames for many, many months, and I think I was a little bit scared to get started. I wanted the gallery wall to be very symmetrical, so this perfect rectangular shape rather than very asymmetrical. And I think I spent the whole month of January just putting different orientations of pictures and frames together, just laying them out on my rug in the living room, trying to get it perfect. And eventually Jay said to me, look, I think you just need to start getting this stuff up on the wall and it's gonna come together. And that is absolutely the #1 tip that I have for anybody else that's trying to get a gallery wall together and is having a little bit of trouble getting started, is just start getting stuff up on the wall. The design came so naturally once I could see it in the space. I moved things around, and I think maybe it only took me about an afternoon for this whole vision to come to life. I tend to change up the art in here semi-regularly, but there are a couple of pieces that I know I will always keep on this wall because they are some of my favorite artists. Starting here with this beautiful oversized piece by Josh Young. I have been a fan of Josh for so many years. I have a couple of his pieces in both of my homes. This one I absolutely loved when I first saw it, and I knew that it would go perfectly with this antique frame that I found at an antique mall here in Charleston. I think that this is the biggest piece in the gallery wall, and it makes such a statement. These two pieces are by one of my favorite artists, Susanna Carson. She does a lot of traditional classical pieces, and these two are really special. They are called Lover's Eyes, and it comes back from a tradition in the 18th century when lovers would send miniature portraits of their eyes to their significant other to remember them by. I loved this pair when I saw them because since it came in a set, it looked like a pair of two lovers that had sent these portraits back and forth to one another, and I think that they are such a unique piece to be in the gallery wall. Last but not least, one of my favorite pieces is this face right here. It's by a local artist named Carrie Davis, and if you go around Charleston to restaurants and hotels, you'll see her face work everywhere. I fell in love with this little piece, I think, because the gallery wall is a little bit classical and formal. A piece like this adds a little bit of playfulness, and I also just love having artwork from a local Charlestonian in my wall. One of my favorite pieces in the living room is our antique rug from Revival. It's almost like a neutral that's not quite a neutral. It has a beautiful pattern, but it's still very understated, and I think that it really ties the whole room together super nicely. The hardwood floors in this building are actually from when this building, which was built in the 1920s, converted from a hotel into condos. So while they are not original, they are very old, and a lot of the architectural details that you'll see in this house do date back to the very early 1900s. The fireplace is not original to the home, but I had admired so many different Parisian apartments that had these beautiful marble mantles, and I connected with someone who's now a good friend, Molly at Mantle House DC, who refurbishes and sells beautiful marble mantles. I connected with her, and she was selling this piece that I knew was the perfect size for the home. So we had it shipped down to Charleston. We worked with a local stonemason to get it installed. And while I am not normally a DIYer, I did try to make this feel a little bit more like a real built-in fireplace by adding some faux brick and a nice wooden surround to it. And right at the bottom here, we have a little log heater that we use all the time in the winter. It's so nice to just be able to curl up right next to the fireplace and warm your toes. So this is a really beautiful vignette, and we put our Samsung Frame TV right above it, and we fool people all the time who think that it's really artwork. I found this chair in Savannah on Facebook Marketplace, and I drove down, made the trip to go pick it up and bring it home. It is such a fun piece, and I really love the pop of color that it brings to this room, but it also has a very functional purpose. Because this room is so small, but we love hosting guests, I really needed a solution that would be able to move around the room really easily so that all of my guests could face each other when they were in conversation. So when I was looking for chairs that I could add to the living room, I knew I had to have something that swiveled really easily so that everyone could kind of face into the center of the room and feel really connected when they were talking to one another. My mom bought me this antique toothpick holder for Christmas one year, and I absolutely loved the beautiful crystal shape of it. However, I had a little bit of a vision for it, and I thought it would be such a fun matchstick holder. So I bought a couple of matches online, and I found these little stickers that I placed on the bottom there that are actually striker paper, so that I can take a match out, strike it on the bottom, and then use it to light any of my candles. And I really love kind of displaying the matches that I've used on little antique ashtrays. I have one on this coffee table that you can see. This antique ashtray was one that Jay bought me for my birthday, and I think it's kind of fun that once I'm done with the match, I'll just drop it on the ashtray. This coffee table is one of the more modern elements in the house. It's something that my partner Jay found, and I wasn't really sure about it. I had never really seen a shape like this before. But once we brought it into the space, I knew that it immediately helped kind of pare down some of the more overly traditional or antique elements in the house. And I think it's the perfect size and the perfect height. So I really love this coffee table. And we always joke, Jay and I, that I get so many questions about this coffee table, and it's not even a piece that I picked out. So kudos to Jay for that find. However, if I had to choose my favorite piece in the living room, it's probably this one. This side table is actually an antique humidor, which is used to store cigars, but we use it as a side table, and I think it is so elegant and so unique. The story of how we found it is actually a little bit funny. When we were purchasing the bar in our entryway, which is a piece that we deliberated on for weeks, we were walking out the door with the bar in hand, and we saw this piece out of the corner of our eye, and we said, within maybe 30 seconds, why don't you throw that one on as well and we'll bring it home. We did not think about it for more than a minute. And it ended up being probably my favorite piece in the living room, and it's a piece that is so beautiful. I get a ton of questions on it, and I think that just goes to show you that antique furniture and the hunt for an antique piece really can be so different day to day. Sometimes it's a decision that you deliberate on. Sometimes it's something that you see out of the corner of your eye and you just know. And I think it's so funny that we got both of those really special pieces on the same day. Something that I think makes this room feel really warm and inviting are the floor-to-ceiling curtains that we have that surround our French doors. Funny story about this was actually not a piece that we picked out. It came from the previous owners of the homes, and we loved the way that the drapes looked so much that we just chose to keep them. So thank you to the previous tenant of this building who left these gorgeous drapes for us. My personal sense of style is something that I think is always evolving, but a couple of words that come to mind are definitely vintage, antique. There is so much of that in my home, and really my passion for interior design comes from my love of old items and bringing new life into them. I think I'm definitely classified as a maximalist. I have a ton of items I am constantly collecting, and there's nothing that I think makes a space feel more like home when it's filled with these items that you've collected throughout your life and mean a lot to you and are displayed in a way that feels beautiful. I take a lot of inspiration from European architecture and European elements. I'm always looking at English and Parisian homes to kind of see the way that they are styled and bring some of that into my home as well. And I think the last thing I would use, or the last word I would use to describe my home, is that it's playful. I really like to find objects that maybe have one purpose and inject a new purpose into them. I'll show you some examples kind of around my home, but I really like a space that feels playful, whimsical, and just really personalized to the person who's living inside. Let me show you my absolute favorite part of this home, which is our balcony. Welcome to our balcony, truly the most special part of our home here in Charleston. I was inspired by the gardens of Charleston, which are some of the most iconic and oldest gardens in the United States. And I spent so many months just walking around the historic homes in Charleston and getting inspiration from the gardens that I saw there. And some of the details that I wanted to bring into this tiny space were a ton of greenery. I have beautiful ferns and a couple of other taller plants. I saw a lot of really beautiful black and white patio furniture. And of course, my favorite element were the checkerboard floors that I saw on so many different gardens and patios in Charleston. I didn't have it in the budget to do black and white tiles, so I chose to DIY these myself. And over the course of 3 days, I stenciled out and painted these beautiful black and white checker pattern onto our balcony floor. And while my back was not so happy after I completed that project, it immediately just made this space pop and really upped the elegance level. It is one of my all-time favorite projects I've completed, and I love the way that it makes this balcony look and feel. So we decided to put some really durable but also really beautiful looking patio furniture on this space because we do use this space all the time. We're always out here having a little nightcap. Sometimes we decide to do dinner al fresco. So I love this table. It's actually from World Market and it is a fantastic deal if anyone's looking for a bistro table. And I think that this space is so functional yet still remains beautiful. Charles here is a serial sunbather. So when I found this little miniature sun chair on Amazon, and it kind of had a similar feel of the black and white stripes that this patio had going on, I knew I had to get it for him. So on a really sunny day, you can find Charles scratching at our French doors, wanting to go outside and lay out on his little patio chair and just be kind of king of Charleston out here for a bit. I like to joke that the absolute best place in the whole city of Charleston to get a nightcap and watch the sunset is right here on this balcony. We face southwest and the sunsets are honestly otherworldly. I've traveled a lot, I've seen a lot of different sunsets and none of them compare to what you can see in Charleston from this balcony. It's the most special time of day. I love having friends over at sunset and it really just makes this place feel like a dream. Let's head back inside. A reminder that this house is 610 square feet, so we don't have a ton of space to work with, which is why you'll see that this home is very open concept with the living room looking into the kitchen. And I'm so lucky that we have this island here because it's the perfect place for us to have dinner. It's the perfect place to work. Usually one of us, when we're working from home, is working from this kitchen island. And we were so lucky to find these awesome swivel bar stools, which of course are really great when we're working or we're eating, but it's also a really great place for our guests to sit. And because they swivel and the chair in the corner swivels, we can have up to 5 people that are sitting and enjoying themselves in the living room, talking and all facing one another. So these chairs are totally multi-purpose and we were really lucky to find them. There are a lot of old home quirks with this tiny little condo, one of which is this built-in nook that we have right next to our kitchen bar stools. For me, because this is often a place that I work from home, I tend to tuck things like my computer and my chargers away in this wicker basket. And then usually we have a variety of cookbooks or magazines or just random coffee table books that we'll tuck into this corner. And I love that it's just a little visually interesting piece in what would normally be a very generic kitchen island. Before we moved in, this whole wall used to be closed off, and the person that lived here before us knocked the wall down, installed this beautiful wooden beam, and had some light fixtures hung above the island. We weren't in love with the light fixtures they chose. They had a little bit of a mason jar cottagecore vibe, but I found these beautiful milk glass lights from West Elm. I really love this collection. I actually have a couple of lights from this ribbed milk glass collection, and we decided that it would be the perfect focal point over the island. And I think obviously milk glass is a very classic material, but it's got a bit of a modern shape, so it really ties into the classical meets modern look that I'm trying to go for in this house. Let me show you the rest of the kitchen. This kitchen is small, but it is mighty. One of the things that makes this kitchen really functional, even though it's tiny, is that our fridge and our freezer are actually right here below the kitchen island. They are super tiny, and it probably wouldn't work for a family bigger than ours, but since it's just me and my partner who live here, it's actually the perfect place for us to keep our fridge and freezer, and it frees up the rest of the kitchen without having a big standalone fridge in the way. When we moved in, these cabinets were covered in a really ugly gray vinyl. It was one of the first things we knew we wanted to change. And I love really high contrast kitchens, so I knew I wanted to paint this kitchen a color that would really pop. And initially I was really brought in by some of the trendier kitchen colors like greens or blues, but I knew that something like this dark matte black would be so timeless and would kind of evolve with the kitchen no matter how our decor styles changed. And I'm so glad that I made this decision. I love the vignette that you get when you look into the living room in these beautiful black cabinets. So one of the ways that we save space is actually by keeping our microwave in this cabinet. For safety reasons, we always keep the door open when we're using it, but I didn't want a microwave taking up some of the valuable counter space that we had in this tiny kitchen, so tucking the microwave into the cabinets was a really great solution for us. While the kitchen is a space that needs to be functional, I didn't want to lose the character that I had built up in the rest of the house of this kind of collected space with a lot of tchotchkes and a lot of brass and a lot of just fun items. So I really love what we were able to do with this tiny little corner. We installed these beautiful wood and brass shelves, and it's the perfect place for me to display some of my favorite bits and bobs that I've picked up over the years at antique stores. And one of the things that I thought was such a fun addition to the kitchen is this antique music stand that we use as a cookbook holder. I found it a couple years ago, thought it was so fun, didn't know what I was going to use it for, and when we were styling the kitchen earlier this year, it was the perfect place to rest a cookbook while we were cooking. So these two are oyster plates, which is a very Charleston accessory to have in your house. I always go to the annual Charleston Homes and Gardens Festival, where you can look and take a peek inside some of the old historic homes in Charleston, see the way that they have been decorated. And in almost every single house, they had a beautiful collection of antique oyster plates that were often brought in from France and displayed on the wall just like these are. And since oysters are such a big Charleston delicacy, I knew that it would be the perfect kind of local homage that I could add to my home. So I picked up these two, a matching set of beautiful oyster plates, and I hope it's just the beginning of a collection that I can kind of build on over time. I love finding antique items and then finding a new way to make them functional. This is a great example of that. This is an old mailbox that was from a home in Charleston. I don't know exactly how old it is, but you can see it still has the original name of whoever lived in the house that it came from. We use it as a fun place to store Charles's leash, and if you open up the mailbox, we also store all of his dog bags in there, so we can always grab them if we're heading out quickly. We have a lot of art in this home, as you can see, but this little piece gets a place of honor for a very special reason. When we live in New York for half of the year, our apartment is on Washington Square Park in Manhattan, and I found this adorable little sketch of Washington Square Park, and I wanted to kind of give it a special place in our home in Charleston, just to remind us fondly of our other home and other life in New York, and just reminds me of all of the wonderful things waiting back in New York for us when we go. And similarly, I have a little sketch of Charleston that we display in our New York home. So it just reminds me of our dual city life and makes me so thankful that I get to live in two of the most amazing cities. I think what really brings heart and soul into a home is having a home that is really collected with objects that you love and that are meaningful to you. I think that's what makes me so much of a collector and why I love finding things from all over the world in my travels, in my day-to-day, and bringing them into my home and decorating with them. I really love being able to take someone into my home and tell them the story of the time that I found this picture, or where I picked up this bust, or the really funny story of trying to travel with this big bulky piece of furniture across state lines. I have so many of those moments and stories in my home, and I think that it really brings a lot of connection to invite people in, to tell the guests the story of your home, and it also just makes me happy to be surrounded by so many things that I love. Welcome to our bedroom. One of my favorite vignettes in the house is this little vanity moment that I have in the corner of my bedroom. I think it all started when I found this tiny little kidney table, and the reason that I fell in love with it was this detailing on the sides. I found out later that it's called ormolu. It's this technique that kind of dates back to the 18th century of gilded bronze that's added as decoration to wooden furniture, and you'll actually see it in a couple of different places in the home. I really love furniture with that kind of detail. So when I found this little kidney table, I was absolutely in love with it, and it's a very peaceful place to sit, get ready for the morning. I found this gorgeous mirror that felt like it fit perfectly in this moment, and I think it's a very elegant space in this bedroom. So one of the secrets of this area as well is I have this cute little storage stool, and in it I have all of my makeup so that I can kind of keep it out of sight, but it's super easily accessible for where I'm sitting here and I'm doing my daily routine. We buy all of our candles pretty much from one of our favorite local Charleston stores called Candlefish. They ship all over the country, so I highly recommend you check them out. But they are this adorable little perfumery that's right here in downtown Charleston. Some of my favorite scents tend to be the ones that smell kind of like a Christmas tree, the pines. So if you're on Candlefish's site and you're looking, my personal favorites are scent number 4 and scent number 42. I burn them all year round. Definitely the star of the show here are these beautiful built-ins that surround our queen bed frame. When we saw these built-ins when we were first touring the house, it was one of the biggest selling points of the apartment. Because I am such a big collector, I knew it would be the perfect place to display all of my antique tchotchkes and just be a stunning focal point for the room. As you can see, we have a ton of books because my partner and I are huge readers. Honestly, these are just the really beautiful ones. We have so many more that are tucked away in cabinets or closets, a bunch in our home in New York. So we just display the ones that are really beautiful on the shelves. One of my favorite things to do when I am going to antique malls or going to flea markets is finding some of my favorite books that I've already read and finding really beautiful older editions of them. You can see that there are some of my absolute favorite classics on here, things like Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, The Count of Monte Cristo by Dumas. A lot of those favorites I've found these beautiful editions of, and I love displaying those on my shelves. I think it's a really beautiful way to represent something that is so important to me in reading. When it comes to designing bookcases, I really believe that it is trial and error. I think I've restyled these shelves about a dozen different times since we've moved in, but a couple of items that I think always make a shelf styling moment shine are, of course, books, and a lot of them, especially if they are books that are meaningful to you or tell a story. I love collecting different pottery and putting it on my shelves. So this beautiful blue Delftware pottery that I have here. And obviously art is a big thing in my home in general, but it's something that I really love to layer on top of my shelf styling elements. So I have a couple of my favorite paintings. One of my favorite pieces that's actually a painting that is painted on a plate by one of my favorite artists, Susanna Carson. This is so fun. So I really like to take an approach of taking things that I'm buying and collecting already and just moving them around, seeing how they're meshing together, and really making sure that it feels very collected and cohesive. So a little silly thing that I like to collect is hand decor. You'll kind of see it all over both my house here and my house in New York, but if I find a really interesting piece of decor that has a hand component to it, I just fall in love with it. I always buy them. This is an example of one. This is a little paperweight that I just like resting on top of these books. It's right next to these hand bookends that I really love. I don't know where the obsession came from, but I think that it's just such a visually interesting component. And you know, when you come over to my house, you can kind of play a little game of hide and seek of where are all the hands kind of styled around my home. So you'll notice that I have a lot of neoclassical decor in my home. I am obsessed with ancient Greece and Greek mythology, so you'll see a lot of nods to that in some of the decor pieces in my home. You can see up there I have 2 busts of Apollo and Artemis. I actually have another bust of Apollo on my desk. I have Hermes out in the entryway. It really brings me so much joy as a lifelong lover of mythology to find these pieces, bring them into my home. It feels like something that I've carried through childhood and with me to adulthood. And I think that it also, doesn't hurt that it looks so beautiful and elegant in the space. So while I absolutely love the way that the built-ins surround our queen bed, it did mean that we had to go without some of the comforts in a normal bedroom like nightstands. So we had to get a little bit creative with that problem. I found these shelves from World Market. They're supposed to be wall-mounted shelves, but they have these really neat little drawers to them. So I thought it was the perfect item to just tuck into the shelves and serve as pseudo nightstands. So we tuck away, you know, our eye masks or our earplugs for when we go to sleep at night, and they still look really beautiful on the shelves, which I love. I think that home to me is a space that you feel 100% yourself in and is a 100% reflection of who you are as a person to the world, to the folks that you're inviting into your home. It's a place that people should feel comfortable and be happy to stay in and really enjoy each other's company and soak up stories and laughs and lots of drinks and fun times. I think that a home should really feel somewhere that you choose to be, even when you could be anywhere else, that coming home just feels like a really special ceremony.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Curtis, and this is our Chicago apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey everybody, I'm Curtis Taylor Jr.
And I'm Danielle Taylor.
And we are here in our home in Chicago, Illinois. It's roughly around 700 square feet, so you know it's considered, and it's our little corner and oasis in the city. When we got this apartment in 2020,
Yep.
it really was more Danielle's style. I was more of like the modern, sleek, bachelor pad type of home.
With a pop of color.
Yeah, always with color. But when we found this home, it just had really good bones and like really good character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the built-in shelves were the first thing that I noticed.
Yeah, the molding. We liked the molding, some of the traditional archways and stuff in the home. And the building, just like, it kind of felt a little reminiscent of like Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's definitely like an older pre-war building. So we are subject to things like no central air or heat. And we have these gorgeous radiators, but I mean, it just adds to the character. How did we meet? That's always a great question. And I like to tell my version because I think it's better. So we met on the college campus at the University of Missouri, and I was a freshman. Curtis was a graduate student, a senior at the University of Missouri. And we kind of just met each other in passing, but we didn't make things official until September of 2015, where we went on our first date at an ice cream parlor on campus. So from there, we had a long distance relationship after Curtis graduated and started his directing career in LA. And I came back to Chicago and started my consulting career. And then from there, we kind of did the long distance thing for a while. And then we moved here in 2020.
And then the pandemic happened.
The pandemic, yeah. So he moved here because of the pandemic.
Yes. So my version is, I'll pick up from the pandemic part, is that I came and I never left. And now we're the Taylors.
We're married.
So, you know, it worked out for us.
Yeah.
We are currently here in our entryway. We also like to call this our study. It's our study in transition as we prepare for our larger forever home. Babe, what's some of the details you want to talk about in this space that makes us love the study?
So one of my favorite things in our study or entryway is actually our front door. So when we first moved in, it was a blank slate, completely white with no embellishments. And we really wanted this space to feel like grand and I think just more considered. So what we did is we actually painted the foundation of the door and also added wainscoting. So this was a few trips to Home Depot, but after a trip or two, we were able to kind of get the design down right. We added what is usually used as molding for walls, crown molding, and we added that as our wainscoting. We wanted it to feel like chunky and thick, and also have 2 layers, so it mirrored some of the designs of the doors that already existed in our home. And then we also added like this little fox from Anthropologie. Usually the peephole I think is on the other side of the door. I'm not sure, but we just knew that the outside of a lot of doors that we see in the Chicago area and like historic buildings have such grand doors, and because we live in an apartment, we wanted that to feel like that on the inside of our home. So we also added a kick plate at the bottom because the gold interacts with the gold of our fox and the actual door handle and our lock here.
Also, because like we said, we want to call it a study, which means we need study material. So we added these really nice floating bookshelves that we saw from one of our friends on TikTok or Instagram. And they were just like ones that everybody was talking about on TikTok. So we got these to be able to house some of our books and some of the literature that we have. But we thought it was really important that like in the future, we just want to really keep building and curating this really incredible library. So why not start now? So yeah, we have bell hooks. You know, you gotta have some bell hooks. We got some Toni Morrison in there. Children of Blood and Bone. We got some fiction. Y'all know I love fiction. So yeah, and these are actually going to end up getting put in a shadow box, but these are actually our vow books from our wedding. So these ones covered in a moss are like extra special. But yeah, and like Danielle said, in the continuation of the fox, we have like all of these other like whimsical animal characters throughout the home that you'll find. So we have this horse door stopper that we're using as like a weight. So yeah, this is this. And then also in this space as well, traditionally when you're renting, you don't always see like these type of closet doors painted, but we painted them to match the space and to make it feel really warm. And we also added these knobs because everything is renter friendly. These gold embellishment knobs are actually peel and stick, believe it or not. So it's really easy, but they're sturdy, so they still work. And then up here we added shiplap to the top exterior to mirror on both sides. And then also, we'll talk about this a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But the ceiling, these ceiling panels we also added, which are actually made out of styrofoam from Amazon, and then we painted them. Danielle found them. Incredible renter-friendly hack. But these were drop ceiling tiles. So, you know, drop ceiling tiles get a little... But these now, it just made it feel so much more exquisite. And it really brought the character and the bones of the home that were already here. And then we added this light cover as well, which was also from Amazon, that we love. And then the last thing in this space is this rug right here, which is actually made by our friend Sean Brown. It's a Outcast rug for any of those Outcast fans there. This is The Love Below. So if you know that album, you know it's an incredible masterpiece. And so, you know, we had to add a little bit of culture into the study. My fascination and career is like as a kid growing up in the Midwest. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I always had a really vivid imagination. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do with that or how that was going to transpire into like making money. But I just knew that there was something fascinating to me about fiction and magic and the ability for things to just come out of nowhere. And so growing up as a kid, I loved Harry Potter. And anything adjacent that was like dystopian. And I always just was gravitating towards like design and things that were very interesting. Because in the Midwest, we don't have access to a lot of those things readily, like the coasts do.
Yeah.
And so eventually that all sort of boiled down into like me hitting my head against the wall on a few things and ultimately landing in like writing and directing, and that finally feeling like a soft place for like my ideas and my sort of like personhood to like come to life. And I feel like it really matches my personality in the end. And then, you know, all within that, there's a sprinkle of design. Directing is like designing the whole thing from beginning to end. So, yeah. Babe, what about you?
Well, how do I follow that, Mr. Writer Director? But my career, telling you about my experience, how did I start? So honestly, I always loved beauty. I grew up watching YouTube videos and all of the greats that are now working with a lot of the incredible brands that we love and shop in Sephora today. And I didn't know how to make that a career, and I also didn't know how it impacted the planet. All of the cosmetic products, the single-use ingredients and materials that we use in order to enjoy those things. So I started my career in consulting, where I learned really how to run a business. And then from there, I co-founded a company that focuses on sustainability and beauty. And then I realized that there was so much more to sustainability than just the actual beauty products themselves. It's the packaging, it's the material and the inputs. So I've started to explore the duality of sustainability and culture, and what it looks like to build a world that will last for a lifetime and beyond. And when it comes to design, I'd say that I'm very connected to my surroundings. And sometimes it's hard for me to express myself and like design something that I think shows what I have on the inside. So Curtis will do that. He'll like take pictures of things that I like. He'll be like, I really think you're gonna like this. And sometimes I don't know if I'll like it, like the tomato colored arch that we have. But once it's done, I'm like, okay, I like it. So I get a little bit of a push.
She has to see it to believe it.
I do have to see it to believe it.
But that's okay. I got like a 99% shooting average. So.
Pretty much. I mean, 99%, 99.9% like percent shooting average. So
it typically works out.
It works out. Yeah.
And we have a few entrepreneurial endeavors that have happened
absolutely
in between. So we are very used to startup and entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yeah, which is why our space is even more important to us, because the pandemic is where we really started working from our home, but we also work here together today. So even post-pandemic, we still work from home and we support our clients from here. So, you know, if I'm in the bedroom or Curtis is at the desk or at the front table, like we're literally everywhere just working.
Yeah. I think something I would add to that too that is really important is that during the pandemic, although it's like a time that's really like heavy and something that we were all globally experiencing together, it was the moment that we realized that a lot of times as renters, you know, growing up, you're kind of told that you don't want to invest a lot into your space because you're renting it and you don't own it. And because we were here in the pandemic and we were just sitting around looking at each other in like 700 square feet for almost 3 years, right?
Yeah, long time.
Like we started to understand the gravity in curating a space that inspired you to be you, but also to see the optimism in the world. Oftentimes when it feels so dark and heavy. And this was our little slice of like how to show possibility. And like Danielle said, we always say if we write a book, the book will be If You Want to Find Love, Build a Home Together. And that's what we did. All right, guys. So we are now coming into our living room, which is one of our favorite places in the home. It's kind of like the living room / dining room / office area space, but we'll get into that. But before we get into that, we have a very special piece behind us this way. Okay, so when we first started our art collection, we really didn't know that much about collecting at all. But our collection started because we got incredible gifts from friends who actually were the reason that our art collection started. And this is another piece that's a part of that story. This is a piece by a Chicago-based contemporary artist by the name of Nico Washington, who is actually one of our favorite contemporary artists right now. We have this piece and we have another Nico Washington. But this piece is really special because our friend Adrian Octavius Walker, another artist, gifted it to us as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing that we got even before we got married.
And it looks like us, but it's actually not us.
All right, so now we've told you about our Nico Washington. And now we got another really, really special part in here that's a new addition. Nobody's really ever seen this, but you guys. Come take a look. Okay, so in this area, guys, we have this incredible, incredible wallpaper, which was actually a recent collaboration that we had with Auto Studio. And this is a wallpaper that's called There Was a Country. And it's by an artist by the name of Uzo. And it is just so beautiful, and it reminds us of like family reunion. When we had this space, we knew we wanted a statement wall, but we didn't quite know what it was going to be. And we went back and forth about colors for a really long time. If you guys haven't noticed by now, green is our favorite color. So green is a constant theme in the house, and green is good for prosperity. So when we see this wallpaper, it just makes us so happy. And there are little anecdotes throughout, and in these thought bubbles, you'll see like soft life, movement of the people. Like it just felt very, very like us. And what we love about Uzo's work is that she actually merges like contemporary Black life and like African diaspora across spectrum to like this really, really special place that makes it modern, and it makes it feel like a shared experience between like all of us being Black Americans. So this is like one of our like proudest moments. And me and Danielle's little brother Michael actually put this up ourselves. It was a little bit of a task, but because we do everything renter friendly, it's also removable. So if you guys are looking for some great removable wallpaper, Auto Studios, There Was a Country. And I surprised Danielle with it when she was gone for a work trip. Were you surprised?
I was. I literally walked in and was like, what? Weren't we doing this together? What? This looks beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah. And this is like our little work from home nook. And now Danielle has like the best work from home
Background.
Zoom
certified.
Yeah. We surveyed it.
My absolute favorite piece in our home is actually this desk.
In the whole home?
In the whole home.
Guys. Okay. In the whole home. Okay. Tell us about it.
That's because Curtis is always like, Danielle, like, I think that we could take the desk out. We could swap it. And I'm always fighting for the desk. But when our home was completely empty, before we even got another beautiful piece, like our dining room table we'll talk about later, this piece was here. And this was during the pandemic. We purchased it, and I had nowhere to work. Surfaces were very limited, and I needed somewhere to set up my laptop and work. So when we got the desk, it was amazing. It's kind of slender, and not something that's super big. So we do sometimes, we've had it here. It's been on the other side of our apartment, in the living room on the other side of the room. And it kind of serves as multiple purposes. We will turn it into a bar when we're hosting. We'll use it as just like a way to display our books, or of course in order to actually work. So it's definitely one of my favorite pieces, and I think it's just the details in the burl wood that makes it feel extra special. So what's on top of our desk is probably almost just as important as what's on with the actual desk. But this is an extension of our library. So throughout our entire living room, you'll see that we have a lot of books that are focused on things from photography, inspiration, floral design. Some of our favorites include A24, absolutely the new Black Vanguard, and then just vases or vessels that we use to fill with floral. And then we usually almost always have a candle here in order to just like make it feel moody and kind of warm and cozy, because this is more of a nook area of our apartment. So yeah.
And I think that what's also really important for us So coffee table books are really important to our story because they were some of the first things we could afford when we got into the space, and we were like, oh, we want to start like designing and like what does that look like? And we can't buy a $2,000 table. But, you know, coffee table books are one of those things that are extremely accessible and that people can get from either their local bookstore. We like to buy local when we can.
Yeah.
Or, you know, to support artists when their monograms come out. Some of the ones that are new as well that I really love is like this Young, Gifted, and Black. Also, I Can Make You Feel Good by Tyler Mitchell. If you guys don't know, Feeling Seen by Campbell Addy. Nadine, Anything by Nadine. Our Own Selves. We love Nadine in this household. So yeah, like our coffee table books are like a warm hug, and we always encourage people who come over, like, yes, although it looks museum-like, please grab it, crack it open, read it, stay a while. That's what the candle's here for. So we have that, and then before we move on, over here in this corner, this right here is our lucky Mr. Fish. As we said, we have a lot of like whimsical character moments. So I actually found this at the Lincoln Antique Mall here in town, which is a very historical antique store. And when I saw it, I just knew I had to have it. And I remember FaceTiming Danielle, and I'm like, oh my God, I found this little bitty side table, and it's a fish. And she was just like, okay. And I showed it to her. She's like, I love it. And it's just like the perfect Peter Pan-esque whimsical moment to like tie in the home. On top of it as well, by the way, we have Black Archives, which is also by another friend of ours, Renata Charlize, who I also got the opportunity to interview before for a story that I was writing, and this is their first book that came out for Black Archives, so we love this. This is new. And then this piece right here was done by our friend Candace, who we also love, which is 101 Black Women to Read Before You Die. And so it has all these little pictorial stories of like Black women throughout history who've written books that we just love. You got Bell Hooks, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Audre Lorde, Alice Walker, and the list goes on and on. But it's just such a charming piece. And like, it feels like something that will go in like our future kids' room.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
nursery.
I mean, with the crayons and like the raisins, absolutely. And I think it's just inspiring for little women.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Okay, let's show you the rest of the living room. How we've decorated the space is it's been a natural evolution and progression. Hence the white couch. The white couch I like to use as a benchmark because it's kind of where we started. It's also where Danielle's style and my style started to converge. I would say when we first approached our home and styling, we definitely were going more neutral.
Yeah.
What was like trendy, what a lot of people were doing,
Like
the
mid-century
taupes.
modern.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but it was still very like blank slate. It felt like a showroom.
Yeah.
And then as we went into the process more, we just wanted something that felt like lived in and something that felt sourced and nuanced. And as Danielle said before, I'm a color guy, if you can't tell by my Willy Wonka inspired frames. So like from there, we just merged the balance of like color and neutrality, and we landed on like maximalism.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things you'll see throughout this space, little like caricatures, things from our trips, our travels abroad that you'll see. And all of our designs are meant to be renter friendly because we are renting our apartment here. So we wanted it to feel like forever, meaning like we design for where we are, but also we can remove it so our landlord doesn't make us pay the price.
Yeah, that's important, folks. All right, now we're going to show you the rest of the living room. Ta-da! We were already here, but this is the other side. The other side of the magic.
I'd love to tell you guys about our sofa. This is our 6-penny sofa, and it's white. So it's definitely a conversation piece and the most clean thing in our entire home. Everything else is printed, colored, bold, and this is the one thing that's actually just all white. So the sofa is from Six Penny, as I mentioned, and the actual top pillows, like these two in the corner, are from Restoration Hardware with Etsy slip covers. We wanted a sofa that felt deep and cozy, that felt like it was inviting, but we didn't realize the color would kind of deter our guests from sitting here. So we always have to tell them, like, please come sit. But the actual piping along the edges is one of the details that stood out the most to us. And the fact that we can actually swap the cover for any other colors that Six Penny actually offers. So if we want to do a dark orange or a burgundy or a blue, we can swap it out, and it's easy to clean. So we just take it off and take it to the dry cleaners and bring it back whenever we feel like we need to. So definitely one of my favorites, super cozy, and I love her.
Yeah. I think the other thing in here too, like in this room, is obviously this is the most focal point of the space. When you first come in, this is what you're greeted with visually. We wanted to have artwork here that really just started a conversation. Obviously, when our collection started, like we talked about earlier, it started from gifting. So these top pieces here are from our friend Shayna McCoy, which we like to call the twins. They're untitled, but Shayna gifted us these patches, and we went and got them framed here locally at Frame Chicago. And we just thought they felt like preschool, but also, again, we do a lot of elements that are like, yo, this would be tight in a future kids room. So we say that a lot, but I think that that's important because we want our children to be raised around art and for it not to be something that isn't always been a part of who they are. And then this is also a Shayna McCoy piece. This is an original, one of one, just for us. And we call this one Baby Girl. Yes. She's so cute. She's so petite. We also plan on getting her framed, but she's on this really beautiful gray velvet texture. This one in the corner is Loose Ties by our brother and friend, Adrian Octavius Walker. I actually curated this exhibition in 2 spaces, actually 3. I've helped him do this in 3 spaces now, in Oakland, Columbia, Missouri, and here locally in Chicago. So this is our art wall. We got Ame Leon Dore, and then this piece right here is a piece by another one of our friends, Sean Brown. This was shot in Miami, and we just love it. It reminds us of like Black love and just what it feels like to still feel like young.
Right below our art wall, this is, I would say it's kind of like, we use it for storage, but originally it's actually a dresser from CB2, and we actually got it from the outlet. So if you're looking for a sustainable way to shop or even ways to kind of get some really good discounts, we like to shop at the outlet stores, and it'll come with like a little bit of wear and tear, but nothing that you can't fix at home. And it's just beautiful. So it has a leather front, dark wood throughout. And then we also topped it with these 2 twin lamps here that we found that are just stunning. I'll let Curtis tell you more about those. And then along the top of this surface, as I mentioned, surfaces are so important to us. We go through and we style this for the season. So it might be Christmas, which is coming up, Curtis' favorite holiday. We'll deck it out with snow, add a few different reindeer, and then it feels like it's just a whole new environment. And then also you'll notice some like antique pieces, some of our favorite bookends from Hay, and then also another Sean Brown piece. So this is Sean Brown's like mirrored coffee like coasters, and they're mirrors. I won't show you the camera, but they're mirrored and it has curves on them. So super cute. They look like spills, like little water spills.
These lamps are from Jocelyn, Maine, so we wanted it to feel really symmetrical in order to bring the eye in around the artwork. And then the last thing that I would say is these 2 African statues over there are also like heirlooms from Danielle's family. When their family was moving out of their childhood home, we asked to keep those from her parents. And just a way to kind of keep her family and her lineage a part of our home as it's ever growing is really important to us. So we like to give homage to them, and they make their own little appearance.
All right, so lighting is really important to us. We have lamps everywhere, but there's no central light in here. So when you look at this little guy here, it looks like a mushroom, but it's actually a lamp. So it's a lamp from Hay. If you tap on the bottom, it'll actually light up. it has to be charged. That's like one of the downsides of like all of our rechargeable, renter-friendly things is you have to charge them. But this is a little lamp. It's so cute and like it just feels kind of fun. And I don't know, I think like this adds a pop of color to our space and probably inspired the red arch that we have.
So how I would describe our personal style in our home is in the process of us trying to like figure out what category, because when we were looking for inspiration for things, we were like, well, what is our style? Like, it's kind of not really mid-century. It's kind of not like just all
Is it
antique.
Scandinavian?
Is it Scandinavian?
Are we modern?
And then when we finally landed and found like maximalism, we were like, okay, this feels like us. Probably not as eclectic as like maximalism could go.
Even though people say that, they say we're eclectic.
But I think what we also found is the importance of like having a desire to like preserve art and to move into the space as like collectors. And what does it look like for your home to be a space that holds things, that preserves history and like story and like narrative and folklore. And so for us, I think that maximalism a lot of times doesn't feel like it invites like the Black experience into that lens. And so we want to be an example of that, of like, what does your home look like that is lived in, that feels like relics of your life collected? That's not like hoarding, but you know, is well placed and everything has a story and a narrative, and how that pairs with the art collection that we're building. So I think that that's how I would kind of describe. Would you add anything, babe?
I would emphasize culture when I think about our definition of design. Being a Black couple, we already have our own sense of culture that comes with our race and our ethnicity and the history of who we are. But we also really do focus on like what that culture looks like today in modern day. And I think like when we can both think about our grandmother's homes, we see a lot of similarities in, I would say, like the beauty and the details of small items. So we really like smalls. And you were talking about this when we went to the store the other day. Can you talk about what smalls mean?
Yeah, so smalls are like those knickknacks that you would probably always see that your aunt or your grandma will have. But now we've come up with a very contemporary term. These are what the girls are saying on TikTok. They're calling it smalls nowadays, fellas. So, for example, like this could be considered a small. It's a beautiful textured branch nest situation where it can inset a candle or your keys or just like random things. But we love stuff like this. So
Yeah.
these are our smalls. So now let's go into our dining room or our like dining area, depending on like who it is that's like talking about it. But we like to say our dining room. So this art piece is done by a contemporary artist in St. Louis, where my hometown is. His name is Von Davis, and this piece is called Tangible. It's really, really beautiful to us because for the longest time, we were saying like we want a textile in the home, but what is it going to look like? What is it going to be? And then we found this painting. So Von considers his pieces paintings, and it's like this really beautiful like ballet between like life of being like distressed, but also still really beautiful even through everything that life puts you through. So we love Tangible. She's that girl. Von loaned it to us. He was so kind to do that. So yeah, we love this. And babe, what about the wall?
All right, so this was probably one of the first areas we took seriously when painting, and we added Portola paint. So we have it in a few different places, but here is definitely where you see it the most. It's the most pronounced, and the color is nitty gritty. So Portola paint actually feels like clay, and this actual paint is Roman clay. So sometimes you'll see this texture created using lime wash or Roman clay. And for us, we use Roman clay that will like scrape along the walls in order to get this like distressed, almost velvety texture. And it feels beautiful and looks amazing. And then we layered on more wainscoting here and a little bit of a thinner pattern with two skinny ones on the side and a wider one in the center. And I don't know if I mentioned this when we were in our actual study, but our wainscoting is removable, 100% removable, and we've actually adhered it using double-sided tape. So I think we picked it up from Home Depot and found an amazing video on TikTok or Instagram that showed us how to do this. So we get the look without paying the price. And also on this wall, we have our removable sconces that we picked up from Amazon. So you'll see a lot of Amazon finds here, but honestly, it's just a wonderful marketplace to find things that will arrive quickly and also are just kind of viral at the moment, and you can make your own. So these sconces are not actually hardwired. We cut the wire and adhered them using just the screws on the side. But the actual light source, similar to the other areas in our home, are puck lights. So battery operated puck lights that we can use we can turn on with remotes. And when we're trying to set the mood, we turn the lights down, our main light down, and then we add our puck lights. So we get a little bit of a different vibe depending on the time of day.
And outside of that, again, back to small source, things that just feel like very special. To this centerpiece, these are two of our favorite things that we've gotten from a local store here, which is our absolute favorite. And it's like our secret, but we're going to share it with you guys. It's called Jason Home. They also have online shopping, but you didn't hear that from me. We got this beautiful wood stand. When we saw it, we just knew we had to have it. We didn't quite know what it was going to be for, but we knew that it was going to be for us. So we really like this because it feels organic and it feels like sort of ornate to be able to make this table feel more grand. And we've paired it also from Jason Home with these two shells. It sort of mirrored like the organic nature of what they would look like and they were actually in the ocean. And we use them to actually like hold as vessels for fresh fruit and veggies and things like that on this rounded table. So this table functions as our dining room table. And usually when we eat, I know what you guys are thinking, where do you actually eat at? We take them off. So this is like to make it look all special and pretty. So probably like 80% of the time it looks like this, and the other 20% we're eating on it. So yeah, we love this. And the chair that's right here was a steal. I think this beautiful chair that we got from Crate & Barrel Outlet, maybe for like $70.
Yeah, it was really low.
It was a steal.
It's sturdy, very, very heavy, and it has this beautiful upholstery.
Yeah, we couldn't say no. So yeah, this is our beautiful dining room. I would say what I love most about the home is because it is such a quaint space, and because there is two of us, I like that we designed it in a way that has a very like open floor plan. We really, really like hosting. Even though our apartment is smaller, we always love to have it filled with people. And so being able to orient the furniture in a way that allows us to be able to do that. I love how the dining room and the kitchen flow into the living room. And so although we don't have like a lot of walls that like separate rooms and make them very defined, I feel like it feels a lot like us. Like we like adventure. We don't like to follow like a lot of rules. We kind of want to make up our own flow. So I feel like our home is like a really good representation of that.
Yes. Okay. I would say my favorite aspect of our home would be a room, and it's probably the underdog, but it's our bedroom. So our bedroom, it feels like its own sort of oasis. It feels like a break from the entire design of the rest of our home. And honestly, like after a spa-like experience in our shower, our bathroom, and then transcending into our bedroom after like a long week or just like a self-care Sunday, I feel like that type of experience is just like really maximized by the design of our bedroom, from the actual like bedding that we have, to the drapes that are in the room and our armoire. It feels, also the shelves at the top, those are also beautiful. So yeah, it's probably my favorite room to watch TV in as well. I think it's yours too.
It's not. My favorite room to watch TV is out here with the surround sound.
It's become his favorite.
Nice.
He likes to watch it with me, and so he watches it in there.
Right, because she likes to go to sleep early. But I personally like the surround sound. All right, so we are obviously going to talk about the elephant in the room, which was also our first concern when we saw the apartment, which was that there's no space in the kitchen for the fridge, which is why it's sitting conveniently in the dining room. But that's okay, because we love our kitchen as it is, and our kitchen has a beautiful story as well. It's perfect for two, so we get to be nice and cozy at home when we're cooking our favorite meals, and we're sharing the space. So here in the kitchen, I guess we would start by talking about the tile. So again, we're gonna keep saying renter friendly, folks, because we rent. But this tile is tile that we sourced off of Etsy. Etsy has been a great place for us to be able to find bespoke, one-of-a-kind pieces. We really wanted a statement wall in the kitchen because we don't have natural light and we don't have a window. We wanted to bring some of those nice bright colors, bold colors into the space to invite you in. And so this tile we found in an Etsy shop, and we just knew we had to have it. It's actually glass, but they're removable. And they remind us of our travels in Italy, where we went to celebrate my 30th birthday. And it reminds us of Positano and Capri,
Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast, all of those beautiful adventures. So we love that. And then this picture by Carla Rudd as well just makes us feel like it's daytime, even at night.
What do I love in the kitchen? I would say our open cabinet here. So you can see it when you're standing here closer, but really what we did was we removed the cabinet doors from one of our, the cabinet above our sink, and that was to expose the actual dishes that are within the cabinet. So we wanted to see inside, which was a way that felt like it made it a little bigger here, and it's easier for us to grab our plates. But dishware and cups and glasses are definitely like one of our love languages. I feel like we can't go into any store without like picking up a new set of plates, a new glass. So we swap out our glasses depending on like the season or what we're going for. We've gone through several rounds of revisions where we're trying to figure out the best way to display everything. But right now we just added in our favorite black plates, some eggshell blue plates that have like irregular, I'll even show you, have like irregular shapes and patterns throughout. So it just makes eating breakfast like that much better when you have like a really nice plate, like even if it's just eggs and bacon. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So the art of plating we found is really, really important. And yeah, like Danielle said, it's just the other things that make such a small kitchen like really matter, which is like we have our little herb. Occasionally we'll have a little herb garden going. This one right now is mint. And then, yeah, we have the other smalls that we have. We'll have like whatever cookbook at the time that we're really loving. We'll have there. We got our knives displayed. And then, of course, we just have to have like our favorite hand soaps, lotions, all that, because your hands get really dry. And yeah, and we love to just throw a nice little fresh flower moment.
Like, aren't they so cute?
Yeah.
They're little bulbs.
Yeah, we like it. Oh my God, who's the chef in the house, babe?
Oh my goodness, it's me. No, I'm just kidding. It's Curtis. Curtis is really the chef in the house. Honestly, whenever our friends come over, I'm like, Curtis is cooking, so they come with a even bigger appetite than they normally would. But one of my favorite dishes that Curtis makes is, it's smothered chicken. I was split between two, but it's smothered chicken with gravy. And honestly, when he first told me about it, I was like, it sounds a little like Southern for me. I don't know.
Brown gravy.
It's brown gravy.
Okay, yeah.
With mushrooms and onions and chicken, and we usually make homemade mashed potatoes. He makes mashed potatoes.
And she enjoys them. So we've talked about the things that we love for entertaining. We talked about the places that fill our belly. What about where we lay our head? Let's
go to my favorite room, the bedroom.
If I had a tip for living in a small space and wanting to design it, it is to not view it as an obstacle, but as possibilities. I think that a lot of times we approach design almost as if it's not an equation to solve, but it is. Like every space, every room is its own equation, which means it comes with its own factors and reasoning, and you just have to keep that in mind. And just usability, like your home has to be something that you have to be able to utilize, and in a smaller space, that means that everything has to matter that you do, and every decision has to make sense. So, yeah, look for possibilities, not challenges.
What would be my greatest tip for someone living in a small space? I would say to optimize organization. And when I find the best tips, I just save them like on TikTok. Like I have like a bunch of things saved. So I would say the Container Store is absolute favorite when you're trying to figure out best ways to solve for design organization. And maximizing those like small spaces, build up where you can, and also utilize like under the bed storage. Lots of matching organization makes it feel a little bit nicer and cleaner. So I would say, yeah, that would be my tip.
All right, and we've made it to where the magic happens. That's the like MTV Cribs line. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is like our version of MTV Cribs right now. Okay, so this is our bedroom. As Danielle said, it's her favorite place in the house. And it is literally a breath of fresh air. So the wall treatment that we have in here, this is Roman clay as well, as we talked about before, but instead this one is in the color Figueroa. We're telling you the colors. Don't go do your home in the same exact colors as us, but we love Figueroa in Roman clay. And then this piece is the other piece that we talked about from Dico Washington, which is entitled Starboy, which we just love. It is such a statement for us to like walk into and to be greeted with. And we often leave our door open so that other people who are coming can also see this as well. So we kind of like treat our home like a little bit of like a art museum.
Mm-hmm. We're keepers of art.
Yeah, preservers of the stories and the people. Babe, why don't you tell them about your gorgeous vanity?
Okay. So Curtis says it that way because I wanted a vanity so bad. I do my makeup, and if you know, you know. The girls that get it. You need a big surface to do your makeup, and our bathroom is kind of small. So we were searching high and low for a vanity that didn't look like it was like cookie cutter, that still felt like it fit the vibe of our home. And we found this desk. So it's actually an antique from First Dibs, and it's also from Mexico. And it serves as our vanity, also kind of like a bedside table. And we partnered it with this little stool. It's like an African stool that I can sit on. It's a little lower to the ground, but it feels kind of intimate and easy to get the job done.
So the wardrobe behind us, when we thought about what are the colors and the textures of what we wanted, we knew we needed additional space, as Danielle mentioned before, yes. When you have a smaller space. And so we got this wardrobe that we liked the archway and how it kind of brought in the archway from the kitchen transition to the dining room. And how could we bring that into the home to kind of bring some harmony. We like also the rattan and the craning that's happening here. And it just fit. It was like a perfect fit in between our his and her closets. It just like all made sense. So it is a little bit lighter of a wood than we wanted. We really like this rich wood color, so we have thought about staining it. But overall, shape and just convenience wise, we love it.
So the mindset and inspiration behind this room was definitely for it to feel like an oasis. Sometimes it's compared to a Tulum or Scandinavian design, but we really just wanted to feel like a break from the rest of our home. So when you step in here, it's soothing, it's a little bit more moody, and just kind of prepares you for the main purpose of the room, which is to rest. So we definitely wanted to feel calm and soothing.
It's giving luxury hotel vibes, but at home, 24/7.
Yes.
You know, a little vacay.
Vacay at home.
At home. The bedding, when I first got with Danielle and she started telling me about how the girls were making their beds and all of that, fellas, I never knew beds were made like this. All of these like big pillows and the layering, there's literally like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 7 pillows on this bed. That's a lot of pillows. But presentation wise, I get it now. So when she says the girls who get it, not the guys who get it. And I love this. So I can't go back. This is like forever our presentation style. This lampshade cover we actually got again from Etsy. Again, like we said, we love an Etsy find. This we just got because it again gave us that like tropical like vacation vibe that we were looking for. The shelves above it also are from Etsy that we got custom for our space. We saw it in like Travel Inspo in Morocco, and we just knew that we wanted it. And we have these pre-loved vessels that sit atop it. They give us this really nice, like, balanced wasabi feel that we really love. And then down here, we have our tartan table slab that we love for Danielle to be able to put all of her nightly goodies on. And then also we have this beautiful lamp that we got from Gantry that is actually made from like sustainable material. So, you know, we got to keep a little eco in the house. And then my favorite thing, the remote always sits on my side, but right now it's on Danielle's side because, as she said, I'm the TV person. So, yes, the room is also one of my favorite places to watch TV. But yeah, this is our bedroom, and we love it. The word home means to me a feeling of somewhere that makes you feel safe, somewhere that makes you feel like there's still so much more life ahead of you than behind you, and like a reminder of like the best parts and the best reasons of like why we live. You know, I think for me this is, you know, a little bit more personal, but when I lost my mom to cancer in 2014, I really grappled with the idea of like what home meant. And I think that as I grew up and became an adult, I had to understand what that meant. And so now building a home with my wife and understanding that this has become our little safe place and our space of holding memories and the best parts of what life has given us. I think that that's what home means to me.
In all honesty, what home means to me is honestly where Curtis is. So I feel like we both kind of mirror in that way. I think the reason that is because we have grown like such a dynamic life together through university, through the pandemic, and living here and then building a home together. So a lot of what we've learned and how we've grown up together lives in each other. And also when I was growing up, so I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, home was, you know, this beautiful house. So like it kind of felt like the American dream in some ways. But then we ended up losing our home during the pandemic, and that piece of me was no longer there. It was more just memories, no place to return to. So instead of having home tied to a physical like building, I think having it tied to our partnership and like the places that we go feels more long-term and a little bit warmer. So yeah, I'd say that.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Sophie and welcome to my New York City Thrifted Palace. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Sophie Bro. I am a professional dancer and choreographer in the city, and I've also recently gotten into real estate, so I'm a real estate agent as well. I have traveled across the country and been on Broadway national tours, and I've been in and out of the city the last 5 years, auditioning and traveling for work. And recently this past year, I decided to put the suitcases up and move back to New York City permanently and have a place of my own. So I am in this apartment when I moved back in this past year, March 1st. I was really looking at various different neighborhoods in New York, and I opened up the Hell's Kitchen area because I love the culture, I love the hustle and bustle of this area. I never thought I'd want to live in Midtown West area, but I absolutely love it. This little apartment is a diamond that I would never have found if I didn't open up my search. And I sometimes like to call it Southwest Central Park to make it sound a little more elevated. And so anyways, that is where my adorable little gem of an apartment is. And I would say my design style, it varies room to room. The base is French. I was really inspired by my travels to Paris last year. But French, I'd say chic, classic Parisian. The kitchen's a little eclectic, and then my bedroom is definitely has more of a traditional flair. Finding this apartment was a journey. It took about a month from the time I decided to move to the time I actually found the apartment. I moved in the winter, and so the thing about that is there's not a lot of inventory popping up, so I would wait weeks and weeks before I would even find something in my price range pop up for me to even rent. And I was back in Texas at the time. I'm from a small town in Texas, and so I wasn't here to search myself because I knew it would take so long since it was the winter season. And I had a real estate agent who I was connected to through mutual friends in the entertainment industry who was so patient with me as I was a little picky to find the perfect place. And so we did virtual tours for a month, and I was starting to get so disheartened because I would put an application in on several apartments and never got them, especially in neighborhoods that were dream neighborhoods. And so like I said, I opened up my search to Southwest Central Park, Hell's Kitchen, and this apartment came available one day. It is rent stabilized. It is such a good price, and there were so many inquiries on this apartment that they shut it down. They shut the listing down within 10 hours. I think they had 250 inquiries. And so it was serendipitous because the real estate firm was Bond, New York, and my real estate agent was from Bond, New York, and now I'm a real estate agent with Bond, New York. So I feel like the stars just aligned. God was on my side. Everything fell into place that it should have. And I was one of 20 people who got to view the apartment, and I was not even here in person. It was all virtual. And I found out the next day that I got it. So it really is it's so sweet and so divine, and it is just a little diamond. It's a 1-bedroom, and it has 3 separate rooms, which is sometimes hard to find in New York City because it's just an open room, a studio apartment with the kitchen, and is in the same room as your bed, which is very common here. But in this specific apartment, I have a separate kitchen, I have a separate sitting room, and I also have a separate bedroom. And it has 3 massive closets, which is good for all my clothes and shoes. So I just feel like it was so meant to be, and it was perfect for me. All right, y'all, welcome to my kitchen. This is the first space you enter when you walk into the apartment. And I love this space because it's separate from the other rooms. It's very small, but I've done a lot of adding specific pieces to help with organization. The before pictures, this right here, this specific countertop was attached right here with L brackets. So this whole space was that countertop for chairs to go underneath. I wanted to utilize the space more for organization, so I took that off the wall, put that in a closet, and brought this piece from home, as well as this piece is so special to me. This is from my childhood kitchen back home in Texas. It was so perfect the way it worked out. My parents just happened to decide to renovate the kitchen in my childhood home back in January, and then I got this apartment at the end of February, and so I was able to bring this cabinet that I've grown up seeing my whole life with my mom's crystal in it up here to New York City to my little tiny gem of an apartment, and it is so special to me. And I feel like it elevates the space, but it also just feels like it's meant for this room. I feel like everything blends and flows together so well, even down to the original paint color that my mom had it. So this is so special to me. And I brought this piece from home. I love it because it has 4 drawers, so I can hide anything in there. It's great for organization. I've made this my little coffee bar. I can put baskets underneath for more organization. And also my parents, when they were doing their renovation, got a fabulous butcher block countertop for their island. And so the contractors back home cut me a piece for the top of this to kind of elevate this piece of furniture, and I love it. This is my favorite area of the whole kitchen. Another thing you'll notice is there's no oven in this kitchen, which is, at first I was so upset about it. It was such a downside, but my mom, thank goodness for her, she bought this toaster oven air fryer for her kitchen renovation and realized, and it's the little GE Cafe. It's so cute. She has the GE Cafe appliances when she did her renovation, and her oven that she has, the GE Cafe, does the same thing. It has air fryer and everything. So she ended up letting me have this, and it is perfect. I don't think I'm ever gonna want to bake in an oven again. You can roast a whole turkey in here. It has a cookie setting, air fryer, pizza. It's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, everyone needs to get one of these, but I'm telling you, this has been such a little lifesaver for me. I think it's also, I have so many favorite things, but I think that's also another favorite thing. And then this island is a really great space. It's perfect for extra countertop, but you can also lift this up and it's great for seating. And then in one of my many closets I have in this apartment, I have two little collapsible, you can get them at Target, two little collapsible bar stools. And so I bring those out here when I'm hosting and when we want to have dinner. This becomes my dining room table. So it's such a functional and flexible piece of furniture. And so it's perfect. I got it from Amazon and it was the perfect size for this space. And another thing that I absolutely love are my fresh herbs here in the window. I really wanted to put them outside, but I wasn't able to do so because of the way my windowsill is outside. But I thought, how cute to just put them in the window. You can see them better. I love the copper accents. I love the like French country aesthetic that brings to the space. And yeah, I have never cooked with these yet, but I will. I strive to be the biggest homemaker out there. I am not at the moment, but I'm working on it, and I feel like the herbs are going to help me achieve that. So I really love those. I think it's just very much so the vibe that I want. It also just reminds me of home. My dad has a garden back in Texas, and my mama has all her little herbs right outside the kitchen window. And so it's just very nostalgic for me. And this piece is very special to me. It was free. It was literally free. I got this in Texas, back home at the lakes. It's either Sam Rayburn or Toledo Bend. It's called the Wow Factor, and it's like in between those two places. They buy out storage units, and it's just all this stuff outside. It's like the mix of like a garage sale. And so this piece was left out in the rain. I was like, it was just by the fences, and I was flipping through all the art, and it was a big mirror I got, and the guy was like, ma'am, you can get this for free if you want. You can just take it. So I did. And I reframed it at Hobby Lobby, and I got a little art lamp, and now it's one of my favorite pieces of art, and it was free. So it's so special to me. I love it. I got these little TV trays from the Salvation Army. I live very close to one. It's dangerous. They know me by name. And so this came from there. I got my little TV trays. I have several so that it's just, once again, extra seating. I feel like that's always something you're looking for in a small New York apartment, is versatility and extra seating. And so I really feel like this, I'm able to achieve that with these TV trays. And I can bring them all around my apartment. So a few more things that I just love in this space are my upper cabinets. I love that I have a space. The ceilings are very tall in this apartment, and the cabinets are elongated and very tall, but I also love that I had space that I could decorate up there. And so I have my trays I brought home from Venice when I went on my trip to Italy. I am a collector of old books, and so I love that I was able to showcase my books up there. And then above this cabinet specifically, I have some very special things from just my years performing. That Oscars book up there is from the Dolby Theater. My first national Broadway tour was Jimmy Buffett's Escape to Margaritaville. And we were actually the first Broadway national tour ever to perform at the Dolby Theater. And so the Dolby Theater gifted us with those Oscars books. And so it's so special to me, and I wanted to showcase that. I feel like my kitchen is more of my eclectic artsy space, and so I thought that this was the perfect space to showcase some of my artsy things I've accumulated over the years. And I love this specific kitchen setup because it just came like this. How fabulous is this for a New York City apartment? These massive pull-out drawers that I can stick all my pots and pans in. I also have decorated the inside of my cabinets with Lazy Susans. So it's so nice for organization to get my spices through there. This was a gift. This Mackenzie Childs teapot was an apartment warming gift from my mom. She's always had a Mackenzie Childs teapot in our house in Texas growing up. And so it's so sweet to me. I feel like this was like, I've achieved homemaker status, my own place, because I have my Mackenzie Childs teapot. That's something that I've always wanted. And so she gifted that to me when I got my place. And I wanted to bake this cake anytime I host or things like that. My mom is actually obsessed with Nordic ware bundt pans. I used to bake all the time, and I don't really do it anymore, but since gotten my place, I think it's just so, every time I go home and there's an event or the holidays, Mom always has a cake baked, and I think it's so sweet and Southern and endearing and charming, and so I try to do that in New York. I don't bake often, but once again, it's like the herbs. I'm really stepping into my homemaker era. And so I just think it's so sweet and inviting and makes my guests feel so welcome. So I like to do that. And I get all my little cute crystal, all these finds, everything's thrifted. Every single thing you see is thrifted. So this came from the Salvation Army, where they know me. That's thrifted. These two items are from the Salvation Army. This is from Facebook Marketplace. It's a Williams-Sonoma copper pot hanger. No, Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, $20 for this. It's crazy. I love to thrift. Oh, this just shows you how much I love a deal. This specific pot, I feel like, is a really good example of how much I love a deal. So this is a very expensive, I think it's called Baumelou. I'm not sure. It's a French brand. Copper saucepan with a cast iron handle. I think it's like $100 on Amazon. It was on clearance at Marshall's for $32, and I wanted it so bad because I just love the copper aesthetic. But I was like, I'm just not spending $32 on this. That's expensive. And so I went back like 3 days later, and it was clearanced even more for $16. And so I got it for $16. But that's just an example of my finds. And how much I am willing to spend on things. But you know what? Patience is a virtue, and I went back and found it, and it was even cheaper. So I think it's so sweet. But that is a little bit about this space. I just love the idea of it being, it's the first place you enter when you enter the apartment. So I just wanted it to just feel so cozy and eclectic and very homey is what I wanted to achieve for my kitchen with the charcuterie boards on the wall. I really feel like I brought some of my Southern roots specifically into this space. All right, that's all for the kitchen. Now if you'd like to follow me into my sitting room, but as I like to call it, the tea room. Follow me? So something about me is I don't spend a dime on anything. It is like a passion and a pursuit of mine to find special items for as inexpensive as I can get them, and I feel like that comes from people not really realizing sometimes what they have. I shop on Facebook Marketplace. I shop estate sales, garage sales, Salvation Army. Those are some of my go-to places that I find, and various local thrift stores that I find some of my treasures. And yeah, I just feel like I have so many pieces that I've collected over the years. This apartment is made up of so many treasures just that I've just slowly collected and curated over the years. And I have gotten a lot of beautiful pieces for free and also just very inexpensive. And so, yeah, I love to thrift, and I love to find fabulous and very special pieces that have a story on a dime. My mom is, as far as the design goes and how much I love interior design and thrifting and making spaces special and feel cozy for my guests, I feel like I really inherited that from my mom. She is a retired interior decorator from my small town in Texas, and she's the same way. She puts people's houses together on a dime. That's what she's been known for. And I feel like I definitely get that from her. Through the years growing up in our house, for the holidays, they would be over the top. Her and my dad used to own an adorable coffee shop and gift store, and it was like something out of a magazine. She would just always go over the top with her decor and her design, and she was just is such a great host. And I just feel like through the years growing up, being surrounded by it always being so special and looking so adorable, that I just kind of learned from her. I really feel like I learned from my mom, and she did have a hand in helping me make this place so special. And yeah, I feel like I get my design eye from her. It's just kind of a learned thing, and I've always been so interested in it. I've always been so interested in magazines. When I was little, I would flip through magazines and pull inspiration, and so this has just kind of been something I've always loved and had a passion for. And then with the help of my mom, I was able to really refine it over the years. All right, this is the tea room. This is my favorite room in the apartment. The reason we got the name the tea room is when I was hosting some of my friends, one of my friends who is from my very first national tour I did, we performed together, he came in and saw it and was like, oh my gosh, the tassels, the drama. So he said he feels like he should be served a glass of tea. He was like, this is very tea room vibes. And so the name has stuck. So this is the tea room. It is so special. The entire room was built around this coffee table. The entire room was literally inspired by this. I got this from the same place I got the free art, the place at the lake back in Texas. This is a John Richard fine furniture coffee table. Look this up. It is expensive. It was $100 at that place, and we did some wheeling and dealing, and they said it had been there for forever, and I ended up walking out with this coffee table for $50. That's $50. So this is like my prized possession. I love it. It's so special. I have bought it years ago and have just been saving it for the day I got my apartment. And so I love it in here. My dad got me this coffee table book when he was working in Dallas. He also loves thrifting. He's always at the Half Price bookstore. So he got me that and brought it all the way home in his suitcase. It's so heavy. I have so many just special finds in here. These candle holders are from the Chelsea Flea Market, which if you live in New York and you have not been, you have to go. There's so many good finds there. I also got this little copper bowl from the Chelsea Flea, and I love to have candies in it for guests. I want it to be so cozy and feel at home for them. And I've always loved the aesthetic of fresh flowers are everything to me. My parents love to garden. Their outdoor space back home in Texas is so comfy, and we're just outdoor people, and so I try to bring that inside to this space. And I just love the idea of a big floral arrangement. Normally I have something higher, but this table is so long and oval, and so I really like the idea of this low arrangement and it being wider and taking up a little more of the space. So I really love that. I love fresh flowers. I have my cozy little nook over here. I actually have another one of these chairs in the bedroom, so when I'm hosting I bring the other one and I set it here and to have more seating. I have a lot of little flexible stools and seating pieces for when I have guests, but this little chair was $15 from a thrift store in Beaumont, Texas called the Treasure House. It was literally $15. Also, I'm looking at all my lights. Every single light you'll see in here, I only have 3 outlets in this entire apartment, just 3 outlets. So every single light you see in here is battery operated. So there's nothing hardwired into the wall and there's nothing plug-in. Everything is battery operated. So I have these sconces here with the battery operated candlesticks I got from Amazon. I have this little battery operated light I got from TJ Maxx. And so that is New York City apartment living, very renter friendly things, and I love that because it's easy and you just recharge them when they die. But these wall sconces I got on Facebook Marketplace. I traveled like 2.5 hours to get them, but I loved them. They were exactly what I was looking for. I wanted the chandelier effect. I wanted a mirror. It had everything. I found this fabulous mirror for $39 at the Salvation Army that I live very close to. So that is a danger. That's so dangerous. But that's also why I love this apartment, is because I live right next to a Salvation Army. So this mirror came from there. All these little books are so special to me. They are from Etsy, which is a great place to find antiques. So we're just very special, unique gifts for people. But my mom got these for me for Christmas. They are French books and they're like French theater books, which is so special because I dance professionally and do theater. So those were really, really special to me. And then I have so many little knickknacks and artifacts and art from all of my travels as of recently in the past 3 years. And so when I went to Pisa, I just loved it and wanted to get me a little leaning tower. I thought it's so cute and it fits this space perfect. Over here, I have this curio cabinet that was, I think I spent like $25 on it or something. I mean, it was such a good deal. And I got this at a garage sale back in Texas when I was deciding to move back. And I had a vision for this, to put all my bags in it. That was the vision, that was the dream. I wanted just all my bags in the curio, but unfortunately, we could not get the mothball smell out. We tried everything. We tried vinegar, baking soda, everything. It did not work. So anyways, I just decorated it instead with some of these little designer books that were 10 cents a book from the Treasure House in Beaumont, Texas, the same place I got my little green chairs. But I got all my little designer books, once again, fresh flowers. They just make it so sweet in here. And I have these mirrors, I would say, are 2 of my favorite things. I have so many favorite things in this apartment, but just things I've collected. But these mirrors I got from my travels. I brought this home from Venice. When I went to Venice, I just wanted to come back. When I went to Italy, I just wanted to come back with a mirror. That was my whole goal. I want to come back with a mirror. And so the whole trip was taken for my cousin's wedding. She got married in the UK. And I'll never forget, the Uber driver was like, "What are you most excited about for Italy or for the trip in general?" And I was like, "Getting a mirror." And he was like, "How are you gonna bring it home?" But it's little, it fit in the carry-on. But this is just so special to me. It's an antique, and it's just exactly what I envisioned that I wanted, and I was able to find it on the last day, truly like right before we left. So that was so special. And then this little easel mirror I got from Lyon when I went to France at the little antique market there. I forget the name of what it's called in Lyon, but I got this there. And I got it for $20. And then I went to Arles in the south of France when we continued our travels, and I saw this exact mirror for like $180 in an antique store. So a steal. And then this is a little drawer pull that my mom got when we went to Siena. And there was a little antique market in Siena, and it was a girls' trip with my mom and aunt and I, and Mom surprised us with this. She bought it, we didn't know, but we opened it last Christmas, and she said that she's been holding it. This is what she bought for us in Italy, and I just think it's such a cute little piece of decoration. I think it's so special. And my little best, this is one of my favorite things. I got this in Pisa. Outside of the Leaning Tower, there's all these little like shops, and yeah, it's just a big, almost like outdoor gift shop in a way, but they had just buckets and buckets of these little these little busts, and I liked this one specifically. It was the display. I liked it because it was dirty. I liked how dirty it looked because it looked more antique. So I walked out with that, $2, a steal. And yeah, this is where I keep all my jewelry. This is kind of like my little like glam station next to my closet, which this is a massive closet space for a New York City apartment, by the way. Also, if you look at the uppers, I mean, this is so much storage, which is a necessity because just like I like thrifting furniture, I also like thrifting clothes and shoes and everything else. So I need that. But moving over here to my sweet little reading nook, when I was finding an apartment, it was all virtual tours, and I didn't even realize that this apartment had a reading nook. This was such a surprise when I got up here and was like, what did I just sign my lease on? This was such a surprise. I did not even remember seeing this. And so I had my contractors actually who were renovating my parents' house right before I moved. They actually drove up there. He drove up here with his wife and helped me move into this apartment, and his wife just happened to be a seamstress. And so I went to go pick out fabric, and she made this custom bench seat for me for this reading nook, and it was just so special to see everyone helping me move in this tiny apartment and everyone utilizing their own specific God-given set of skills. And it was just so sweet to see her on my little tiny kid's sewing machine making this bench seat. So this is very special to me. And these are pieces of art from my travels to Italy. It's always important to me to get a local piece of art anytime I travel. So this is Pisa. The middle one is Venice, and the top one is the Siena Cathedral. And then this light I love because it really brings in the colors of the coffee table, and then also this pillow here. But this is just a wall sconce that is supposed to be hardwired, but I'll show you. I just have a little magnetic rechargeable light that I just put in it, and it's so renter friendly and convenient. And yeah, I love this wall sconce. It's just, I really feel like it just brings the space together. It really incorporates the black even up on the wall. And I love the velvet. I really wanted to bring velvet. I love the idea. This is just so inspired by when I was in Paris, but I love the idea of different textures and different prints and different patterns. It's like the more the merrier for me. And so I really wanted to bring in a little bit of velvet here. And then once again, I love the idea of a window box. I really wanted to have a window box outside, but it's just not possible with my ledge. And so I saw this acrylic vase and thought that was a perfect way to bring the window box aesthetic on the inside. And so I really love this. I love filling it with fresh flowers. And I think it's so chic and glam, and I just love pops of color. And I just really think it just ties in the look that I really love. I love it to be classic and antique, but I also love to bring the glam and the chic vibe into the space. And so I feel like those roses in the acrylic box help me achieve that. My design style changes often. I feel like over the years, it has been a little more contemporary. Back like in my childhood bedroom, in my real estate office back in Texas, I had a standalone office. It was a lot more contemporary than it is now, but in recent years, about 3 years ago, I went to Europe for the first time, and my eyes were just opened. I was just so overwhelmed with the beauty of the architecture and the interiors, and it was just, it just was so incredible to go and experience something that is so different than what I've grown up seeing, I feel like, in the United States my whole life as far as architecture and design style goes. And so this specific apartment, it's always been my dream to have my own place in New York, and I feel like this specific apartment, I wanted to really go all in with the Parisian antique classic interiors, and that was really inspired by my last trip to Paris. I feel like I was always in an interior design museum, just pulling so much inspiration. I just loved the look. I loved how chic and timeless it was, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be my next apartment, but it's gonna be on a dime. And so I really feel like I've pulled a lot of inspiration from my trips to Europe, and it has come out exactly how I wanted it to. So I'm really happy with the result. So when I was finally putting my suitcases up from touring and traveling across the country with my professional dance career, it was finally time for me to get a place of my own. And the most exciting thing about that was to be able to host my friends and host visitors and guests, and I love the idea of getting to host. And I have a cake that I baked in the kitchen right now. I have candies on the coffee table. I just love making it special for others. I think it's just the Southern hospitality, the Southern way. That's definitely how my mom is, and she is the ultimate homemaker, and so I aspire to be like that one day. And so I think my favorite thing, I'll never forget when I first moved into this apartment, it's very small and it's very full of furniture. And so I have a few air mattresses for when I do host family members and when I do have friends come. And so the first thing I was doing was figuring out where I was gonna put all the furniture so that I could host everyone. And so I think my favorite thing about having a place of my own is making it special for other people when they come to visit. That is like really a passion of mine, and I always want people to walk through my door and kick off their shoes and just feel right at home. So welcome to my bedroom. I feel like this is such a cozy, inviting space, which is not the original intention I had. When I was designing in my head the apartment that I wanted, I really wanted a dark and moody bedroom with a lot of prints and a lot of patterns, and I was seeing that, but I ended up totally flipping last minute to something white and cozy and airy, and I'm so happy I went in that direction this time. But a little bit about the space, as you can see, it's a little more traditional than some of my other rooms, I feel like, but I have so many special pieces in here. This piece in particular came from the Salvation Army I live close to. Whoops. And I got it for such a great deal. It's actually a changing table, but I was able to buy it and they let me take the changing table off. It was just able to be unattached. And so I just think it's perfect. It fits the space perfect, and it's great for extra storage, and it was just a find that I stumbled on, and that's what happens when you go to these thrift stores. You'll never know what you'll walk out with, but it was so special to me. This book in particular is probably one of the most special things in my entire apartment, and I didn't realize it until recently, actually, but I thrifted this book at the Treasure House, the same place I thrifted my 10-cent designer books in my little green chairs. But it is a book of Madeline Vionnet, and it has all of her patterns. She was a famous designer, and she curated a lot of the fashion in the 20s, and it has her patterns. It's all in Japanese, and I believe, if I have this correct, I saw this on the Cherish website, that the Metropolitan Museum of Art has the only book that is translated in English that's exactly like this. They're all in Japanese, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art has the only one that's in English. However, a few years later, it was manufactured with an English manuscript in the back, and this one that I bought has the English manuscript, which I think is just so special. This book, I feel like, is iconic. I did not even really realize when I was buying it. I think they had it for like $350 in the thrift store, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna pay that, because I just didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know how special it was at the time. And, you know, I was talking to the guy for a while, and he said that it's been there for years and years and years and would cut me a deal. So I don't exactly remember how much I paid for it, but I know it was not more than $150. So the fact that I have this deluxe edition Madeline Vionnet book that I got for $150 is just so special to me. I just love that there's just special finds that have stories with them. That just brings me so much joy, and this one in particular does that, especially because I love fashion, and I love I love fashion and design and jewelry and all that. So this was really special. And I also saw years ago when I went to Restoration Hardware, I go in there and I get ideas for my space, and then I replicate them on a budget. But I saw that they had just a massive open book laid open on a desk with a task lamp over it, and I loved the simplicity and I loved the look of that. So I wanted to replicate that here, and I truly love the look. And this is a TV. It is not a Samsung frame TV. It is none of that. It is just a regular old smart TV, and my dad is a fabulous woodworker. He has so many hobbies, and he made me this frame. We went to Home Depot together when I was back in Texas and got all these trim pieces. He made this frame for $68. So no, this is not expensive. This was not thousands and thousands of dollars. It is just a regular old TV that we got on sale on Black Friday with a $68 frame my dad made. So I love it. I just think it just elevates this space so much. I love the look of it, and I love how chunky and gaudy it is. I really like that style. Speaking of my dad woodworking and making that, he also made me this precious mantle. My dad made me this for my college home, and it was purple and gold at the time. I had a totally different design aesthetic, but I repainted it, and it was just back home in storage, and I think it made him feel so special when I wanted to bring it back up here when I finally got a space of my own all these years later, knowing that I still wanted to use it. I think made him feel really special, but I just love it. I think it fits this space perfect. I've always envisioned having a mantle in my apartment with a double stack mirror and candelabras. This is the vision I've had for so long, and so it was so just dreamy for me to get to achieve that finally. But I just love this space. These little crystal candelabras I saw on Facebook. There was an estate sale back home in Texas, and it was a company who put on the estate sale, and she posted pictures of a lot of the things that they were selling, and there was a table full of crystal. I mean, you couldn't see what from what, but my eye immediately went to these two things. These two candelabras, I had to have them. But I was never going to be available at the time during the estate sale hours, so she gave me her phone number. We messaged on Facebook, and I was able to go to her house and pick these up. So a lot of work went into getting these, but it was worth it. I love the double stack mirrors. This one's just from Hobby Lobby, and this one is from an antique store in Lafayette, Louisiana. That mirror is, I loved it when I saw it. I did not get that one wasn't thrifted, but I just loved it, and I had to have it, and I really think that it fits this space perfectly with the double stack look. And then I thrifted all three of these Chanel books, $20 a piece, and the top one was 10 cents. So proud of that. And then also this little door knocker my mom got from Italy, and I have a nail here because I hang wreaths around the holidays. I used to do that when this was in my college home, so it was just perfect to put the door knocker there for now. And I always love the look of the curtains going all the way to the ceiling. I just feel like the space grows, and the ceilings are tall in here, but I've always loved elongating the room, and I feel like bringing the curtains all the way up really achieves that. At first I was not too keen on these curtains, but the more I kept decorating the space and having patience with it as it all came together, I love it. I think it's exactly what I wanted. This little task lamp is a dupe for the Restoration Hardware ones. I got this on Amazon. I love the look of that. This little French chair with a duck feather bottom we got on Facebook Marketplace back in Texas. This pillow my mom needle pointed and fabric markered. She made this. Growing up, she would always encourage my brother and I to bring handmade gifts to birthday parties when we were little, and so I have made many of these pillows throughout my lifetime. I would fabric marker little pillows and put a bead trim, and that would be gifts to my friends growing up. And so Mom made this, and apparently this is my brother and I. I don't see the resemblance there, but I think it's sweet, it's nostalgic, and it's always been in the house, and so I wanted to bring that up to New York, and she let me have it. So I love that little pillow, and this is also great because it's extra seating. So when I have guests to entertain, I can just carry this chair anywhere, and I also have these little stools, which are lightweight and easy to bring around the apartment, and they're cozy, and so this serves as extra seating if we want to meet in the tea room and chat there. But I actually recovered these years ago with this fabric. I just stapled it to the bottom. I recovered these cushions and I just painted this. So it was a dark wood, and this was a maroon satin fabric, and so I really wanted to lighten it up, and I just feel like it fits the space perfect. So I love those little stools that I can just bring all around my apartment. As far as my bed goes, this is such a statement piece. It's such a statement pillow. I actually had a headboard that my mom made me for my college home years ago that I brought up here to use in this space. It was navy blue, and so it didn't fit my design aesthetic now, but I went to go buy this fabric, and oh, I felt so bad. My mom and aunt worked so hard to recover that in this apartment, and it had the nail head trim and everything. It's so ornate and was not easy to recover, and we put it up on the wall to see what it looked like, and I hated it, and I felt so bad. I was like, I messed up. I picked the fabric. It looks horrible. I just did not like it. It wasn't the vision that I had, which sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have a vision and it doesn't work out, and it's okay to change it. So we went ahead and carried that to the Salvation Army, donated it there for someone else who may love it and be able to use it in their space. But we had a little bit of leftover fabric, and my contractor's wife, who was here, who's the seamstress, made me a bolster pillow. And then we just got these tassels from Amazon, and I hand stitched them to either side. And how fab is this pillow? It's just made out of extra scrap fabric. And so I absolutely love that. I got these pillows from HomeGoods. I love the idea of the peacock look. I just love the print. This is exactly what I wanted and envisioned. These lights, once again, are remote controls, so there's no hard wiring, there's no cords. The bulbs come out and you can recharge them. They're so easy. Got them on Amazon, love those. And then when I finally was like, what headboard do I do now after this one didn't work out, I found this on Walmart for 85 bucks. Cheap, cheap, cheap. So I love the look of it. I think that it's feeling a little more French country in here. But I love the look. This isn't what I was going for, but I really love that headboard in this space. And then as far as, I have another closet in here, even more storage, which is amazing for a tiny New York City apartment. You don't always find that. So I love the fact that I have even more storage in this space. And then over here by the closet, I have my desk that I use to put my makeup on, but there's many drawers, and I can also use it for my real estate work, and I got it for 10 bucks. I got that desk for $10 and just repainted it and freshened it up. So that is such a fun find for me. And I got my little chair, my little velvet chair from the Salvation Army that they know me at, and I got such a good deal. I think I got it for, I don't remember, maybe like $34. I can't exactly remember, but it swivels, and I feel like it was just made for that little desk. And so it was such a fun find when I found it. And yeah, I feel so cozy and relaxed when I'm in this space, and I'm really glad I went with just the light mood and interior here. And I always love when I get to curl up in bed at night and put an ambiance with a crackling fire on my TV and is a way to wind down. And yeah, this is the vibe that I wanted to create for this room. Just cozy, homey, and ultimate comfort after a long day. Okay, and something else I love is my desk area over here. This desk, I got at a garage sale in Texas for $10, and I just repainted it. It has so many drawers for storage. I use this. This is where I get ready. This is where I do my makeup. And it's also where I bring out my laptop and I get a little bit of work done with my real estate. It's so nice. I love this area. And I got this little chair from the Salvation Army in my neighborhood that is dangerous. And I don't remember how much I spent. I want to say it was like $34 or something, but I just thought that the mustard was just going to be perfect to pull out all my golds and bronzes, and I love the tassels, and it swivels. It's just so adorable. I think it just looks like it's made for this space. I love it, and I also love, as you see, I have more closet space in here. This apartment is like a dream for closet space. This is not normal for New York City to have 3 closets in a New York City apartment. So I just hit the jackpot with this place, with all the storage that I'm gonna be able to have for when I decorate for seasonal decoration. I have so much storage for my Christmas trees and all my fun things to make it special. But yeah, I love this space. I love the size of the bedroom. I was really able to have a desk and have a place I can do my makeup, have a mantle, have 2 nightstands, have extra seating. So I was just really fortunate to find this gem of an apartment in which I'm able to make it exactly what I wanted it to be. So it's so cozy, and this bedroom is just so nice to curl up and get cozy after a long day. Home to me is a place where someone can come in and feel so comfortable, feel at peace. It's a place you can spend with people you love. It is a place where you are comfortable and welcome and warm and cozy, and just a place where you are just truly happy and joyful. And so if I can do that for anyone who walks through these doors, I've accomplished my mission. Well, Homeworthy, it's been great having you. You're welcome anytime to the Thrifted Palace, and I'll just see y'all next time. Bye.